Chapter 1. Traveling to a strange era, some things and people have changed. When he traveled through time, he was only 5 years old, and knew almost nothing except that his name was Kaigaku. His parents had both passed away and he was an orphan. He wandered around the streets all day, eating one meal and going hungry the next. His life was quite miserable. But after all, Kaigaku's soul is also a person of the future. With his cleverness and strong willpower, he managed to survive in the Meiji era of Japan. After growing up a little, Kaigaku wanted to use the advanced knowledge of later generations to get rich and become successful, but unexpectedly, reality slapped him hard in the face. That happened one night when he was 16 years old. That day, in order to earn more money, Kaigaku returned home very late. Unexpectedly, after walking on the road for a long time at night, he actually encountered a ghost. It's a ghost indeed. A cannibal ghost. It was a horrible monster with a green face and fangs, an ugly appearance, which only came out at night and ate human flesh and drank human blood. Facing the ferocious ghost, Kaigaku had nowhere to escape, and was almost scared to death. He felt sad and desperate. Could it be that I, Kaigaku, a dignified time traveler, would fail before I could even make a name for myself? No. It seemed that the heavens heard his cries for help and his unwillingness. Just as Kaigaku was about to be eaten by the ghost, a spirited old man descended from the sky, holding a samurai sword flashing with lightning in his hand, and cut off the head of the evil ghost with one sword. The cannibal ghost was reduced to ashes. Kaigaku was sitting on the ground at the time, looking at the little old man with strands of lightning wrapped around his body, and his brain went blank. There are cannibals and thunder warriors here. The world I traveled through should not be an ordinary world. It seems that I have traveled to an extraordinary world. Wait. Ghost? Thunder? Old man? Kaigaku? After combining so much information, Kaigaku finally knew which world he had traveled to. This world is the world of Demon Slayer. I am the scum traitor who deserves to be cut into pieces. After realizing this, Kaigaku's feelings were indescribable. There are countless villains in Demon Slayer, but many of them have tragic pasts. Their crimes are unforgivable, but their feelings are sympathetic. However, there are a few villains who are bastards who must die and must be nailed to the pillar of shame. Unfortunately, Kaigaku is one of them. In the original work, Kaigaku is an orphan who lives on drinking muddy water and making a living by stealing. Gradually, Kaigaku develops a selfish character who only thinks about himself. Later, Kaigaku was taken back to the temple by Himejima Kume to be raised, but unfortunately he did not change his bad habits. He stole money and was driven out of the temple by the other children. That night, Kaigaku encountered a ghost on the mountain. In order to save his life and take revenge on the other children, he sneaked into the temple, extinguished the wisteria incense burner that was lit in the temple, lured the ghost into the temple, and took the opportunity to escape. All the children in the temple were killed except 4-year-old Sayaka. Chiome fought with the demon to protect Sayaka and did not kill it until dawn. Kaigaku indirectly caused Chiome to be wrongfully imprisoned. When he grew up, Kaigaku learned the breathing of thunder from Jigoro Sanjima, but he was too selfish and jealous of his fellow apprentice Agatsuma Zenitsuo and often bullied him. After joining the Demon Slayer Corps, Kaigaku also had a bad relationship with other members. During a battle, he encountered Kokuzuhibu, the upper rank one of 12 Kizuki. He kneeled down and begged for mercy without any backbone. He was half forced and half willingly drank the demon blood, turned into a demon, betrayed the Demon Slayer Corps. Betrayed humanity. As a result, Master Jigoro, who had worked so hard to raise Kaigaku, had no choice but to commit suicide by disembowelment to apologize. Finally, in the final battle of Infinite Castle, the selfish and arrogant Kaigaku was killed by Agatsuma Zenitsu, ending his sinful life. Looking back on his life, we can see that Kaigaku is one of the few villains among Demon Slayer who is completely impossible to whitewash and completely unforgivable. Thinking of this, Kaigaku felt a little desperate. Am I going to spend this sinful life being despised by everyone? No. Absolutely not. Since I have come through, I must change this wrong life. Since I have come through, it means that these things will not happen in the future. Kaigaku's eyes became firm. He got up from the ground and stood up, looking at the energetic old man in front of him. He holds Nichiren blades and uses thunder breathing. He has grey hair and a mustache, a cane in the other hand, and one of his legs is a prosthetic. Although he looks old, he is as energetic as a young man. There is no doubt about it, with such obvious features, he must be Jigoro Kawashima, the former sound pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps and the current trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps. It's a big thigh. Gotta hug it. Kaigaku didn't care about the reserve and arrogance of a time traveler, and bowed respectfully to Jigoro. Thank you for saving my life, senior. As if it was God's will, Kawashima Jigoro looked at the boy in front of him, especially seeing his determined eyes, and felt that he was very suitable for his eyes. What's your name, kid? My name is... At this moment, Kaigaku hesitated. Means cunning and deceitful, which corresponds to Kaigaku's sinful and wrong life. I don't want to be a Kaigaku anymore. I want to change. He made a prompt decision and gave Si Wulang a firm answer. My name is Horitake. Yes. That's my name. Horitake, what a nice name. Jigoro admired this boy more and more. Young man, do you want to become my disciple? Learn skills from me. That's what I want you to say. Horitake was almost overjoyed and answered without hesitation, I do. Senior. No. Master. The word master immediately moved the lovely old man, and petals appeared around Jigoro Kawashima. After being touched for a short time, he quickly put away his childish side and became serious. Really? You have to think about it. My skills are not so easy to learn. After learning them, you have to shoulder the corresponding responsibilities. Horitake remained determined, his expression remained firm. I've thought about it. Senior should be the legendary demon-killing swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps, right? I am willing to learn skills from you. I am willing to kill evil spirits. And protect the world. Seeing how well Horitake was doing, Jigoro could no longer maintain his composure. He laughed out loud, and was so happy that he didn't know why. He felt that this boy was more to his liking, and kept patting Horitake's head. Ha ha ha, good boy. I will be your master from now on. I will definitely teach you all my skills. And make you the strongest swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps. Ha ha ha. Although he had known about this in the original work, Horitake still couldn't accept Jigoro's passionate feelings for a while after such close contact. He smiled bitterly. Master, I understand how you feel, but could you please stop rubbing my head? You've rubbed my hair into a mess. Ha ha ha, what does it matter? Master. Be reserved. Be calm. Just like that, after traveling through time, Horitake, who had been lonely all the time, was formally adopted by Kawashima Jigoro, who took him back to the secluded Momoyama, where they lived together and were taught how to practice. Horitake did not disappoint Jigoro Kawashima's expectations. With his intelligent mind and outstanding physical talent, he eagerly learned knowledge, quickly honed his body, and learned the breathing of thunder step by step. Chapter 2. Spring goes and autumn comes, and a year passes quickly. Over the past year, Horitake has lived a fulfilling life in Momoyama. Although the old man Jigoro Kawashima has a somewhat eccentric personality, he knows a lot. Horitake learned many skills from this cheap master. Si Wulang was also very satisfied with his apprentice, who was down-to-earth, capable, talented, and intelligent. He was very caring towards Horitake and taught him everything he knew without keeping anything to himself. In the first half of the year, Horitake mainly worked on his body and practiced swordsmanship. In the second half of the year, while continuing to improve his physique, Horitake began to learn the breathing of thunder. The thunder breath is indeed one of the 5 basic breaths at the beginning. The sword is swift and fierce, unstoppable and unstoppable. Its power is extraordinary. After practicing hard for a period of time, Horitake felt that he had begun to master the breathing of thunder. One day in winter, Horitake officially began to learn the breathing of thunder. There was no premonition, it was just like a natural process. Horitake had a sense out of nowhere that he had practiced for so long that it was time to succeed. Standing in the snow, Horitake lowered his head, took a horse stance, lowered his center of gravity, held the scabbard at his waist with his left hand, and held the hilt with his right hand. A breath of air was inhaled into Horitake's lungs at a mysterious frequency. Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderbolt flash. In an instant, electric arcs flashed on Horitake's body. He drew his sword from its sheath. His entire body turned into lightning and flashed forward at high speed. A flash of cold light passed by. Horitake sheathed his sword. Snap! Boom! A peach tree as thick as a bucket stood behind Horitake, which was cut down by him with one stroke of his sword. The peach tree fell into the snow, causing a flurry of snow. Listening to the sound of trees falling behind him, Horitake smiled with satisfaction. He had officially mastered the art of thunder breathing. It was worth it that he had practiced for a whole year. It's murderous. At some point, Kawashima Jigoro appeared behind Horitake. His eyes glowed red, and his body was covered with black air, like an evil ghost. He spoke in a dark tone, "You little BD. You're destroying my peach tree again." Sinai. Horitake ran away. Smith Masai. Smith Masai. Red bean paste Gamanase. In the snow, one person was running wildly while the other was chasing him. The old and the young went around countless peach trees before they stopped. Looking at the mad old kid Jigoro, Horitake raised his fist and protested while panting, "You old BD. It's just a peach tree. Is that a big deal? Peach Mountain lacks everything except this." C.I. Wulang was still indignant, "You little BD, you've been in Doshin for a year. How many peach trees have you destroyed? I can't even count them all. What can I do?" Horitake complained, "There is nothing on Doshin Mountain except peach trees. If I don't practice sword skills facing peach trees, what should I practice facing? Compared to this, you old man, you didn't notice that I have already mastered the lightning breathing. Not only did you not praise me, but you also made trouble for me. Are these peach trees your disciples or am I your disciple?" After Horitake's accusation, Jigoro finally came to his senses and was somewhat embarrassed, so he pretended to be profound. Is that so? You have already learned the first form of thunder breathing? Although it's slower than when I first started learning, this progress is not bad. Stinky old man, are you praising me or belittling me? You little brat, don't you understand? Of course I'm praising you. Really? I don't understand the compliment at all. The daily quarrels started again. After spending more time together, Horitake and Jigoro got to know each other better. Jigoro Kawashima is undoubtedly an old child. He usually looks very strict and fierce, but he actually loves his apprentice very much. He is a little insincere and has a very cute personality. Horitake has a somewhat disrespectful personality and seems to have no respect for Jigoro and often argues with him, but in his heart he respects this old man very much. It is precisely because they understand each other that the old and the young make noise almost every day, adding a lot of liveliness to the cold mountains. After the daily commotion ended, Horitake and Jigoro gradually returned to their normal selves. Pretending that nothing had happened, Ji Wulang coughed twice, "Ahem, well, overall it's pretty good. I've officially mastered the art of thunder breathing. I need to keep working hard and keep practicing. Don't slack off. By the way, after you finish your training, remember to chop the fallen peach tree into firewood. It's too much of a nuisance to have it piled here." "I know, old man, you keep nagging me all day long." After Jigoro left, Horitake was the only one left in the snow. He looked at the grey sky and the snow scene around him, feeling a little melancholy. This year is the second year of the Taisho era, the year when Tanjiro's family was massacred, the beginning of their turbulent life, and also the time when Demon Slayer began. During the past year in Momoyama, Horitake did not do nothing. In his spare time, he often went down the mountain and looked around in the surrounding towns to find out if there was a family with the surname Kamatu nearby. Sadly, no news at all. After being disappointed for a long time, Horitake realized that the Kamatu family was obviously not near Momoyama. Although Japan is an island country, it is not small in area and has a large population. In this year, how could Horitake have the energy to search for a needle in a haystack? So the search for the protagonist was left unfinished. Horitake had no way to change the tragedy of the Kamatu family. With this gloomy weather and such thick snow in this year, it is possible that these few days will be the time when Tanjiro and his sister suffer tragedy. Shaking his head, Horitake no longer thought about things he couldn't control. What was important was the present and the future. What has happened cannot be undone, but for the tragedy that has not yet happened, I must stop it. This is my life goal. Horitake changed his mood, regained his fighting spirit, and practiced the first form of thunder breathing several times over. As the saying goes, all things are difficult at the beginning. After learning the breathing of thunder, Horitake quickly mastered the first form, and this move made him more and more proficient. Feeling the swift and fierce breathing of thunder, Horitake felt very happy. In the original work, Kaigaku never learned the first form of thunder breathing until his death, but now he has learned it by himself. Is this a way of breaking the fate? As Horitake was thinking this, an electronic voice sounded in his mind, "Ding." Detected that the host has broken his fate, the Kochuo effect has occurred, and the system is officially activated. Horitake was suddenly startled and quickly stopped practicing sword, standing blankly in the snow. System? This is, the golden finger is online? Damn it! I've been here for more than 10 years. And you're just online now? Aren't you a little late? Never mind, it's not too late. After all, strictly speaking, the story has just begun. Feeling somewhat helpless, but more surprised, Horitake silently said to the system, "System, tell me, what's your situation? What functions do you have?" The electronic sound of the system sounds a bit dull, and it seems that the intelligence is not very high. Ding. The full name of this system is Kochuo Effect Control System. It is mainly used to control the negative Kochuo effects caused by the host and help the host become stronger. Horitake thought silently, I know what the Kochuo effect is, but can this thing be controlled? Ding. The Kochuo effect can certainly be controlled. If the Kochuo effect is allowed to occur, it will accumulate and lead to a terrible disaster. Okay, you are the system, so you are right. What did you just say? Control the negative Kochuo effect caused by me? Is there a positive and negative Kochuo effect? Of course. For example, when the host was a child, he was not adopted by Himejima Kume as in the original work, so Xingming was not imprisoned. This is the positive Kochuo effect caused by changing fate. Because it is a positive Kochuo effect, the system is not activated. This time, the host has learned the first form of thunder breathing, breaking fate. The Kochuo effect triggered is a negative Kochuo effect, so the system is activated and officially started. Chapter 3. After listening to the system's explanation, Horitake felt a little confused. My character is not as bad as in the original novel, and it did not affect Xingming's imprisonment. This is a good thing, so it is a positive Kochuo effect, I understand this. But I learned the first form of thunder breathing, which is a good thing. How could it cause a negative Kochuo effect? The calm electronic voice of the system sounded in his mind. The Kochuo effect involves causal space and time, which is unpredictable and unpredictable. The probability of both positive and negative Kochuo effects occurring is 50%. Okay, so what on earth is this negative Kochuo effect that I accidentally caused this time? Ding! The host has learned the first form of thunder breathing, breaking fate, and the negative Kochuo effect caused is, the protagonists of this life, Kamado Tanjiro and Kamado Nezuko, are about to die. What the hell? Horitake jumped up excitedly, his heart in turmoil. My future brother-in-law and future wife are going to die? Just because I learned the one no kata? If I had known, I would not have learned this. What should I do? Horitake screamed in pain in the snow, and quickly calmed down and thought quickly, but after thinking for a long time, he could not come up with any solution. It's all my fault for not paying enough attention when I was watching the show. I didn't know where the Kamado family lived, and I couldn't find them. How can I save them? My wife. My brother-in-law. What to do? What to do? Gorge MT Gap MT. The Kamado's siblings' current destination should be Gorge MT Gap MT. We should be able to find it by following the direction of Gorge MT Gap MT. Ask the stinky old man, he will definitely know where Gorge MT Gap MT is. And Tomioka Jiyu. At this point, Tomioka Jiyu should have seen the Kamado's siblings. If you ask Tomioka Jiyu to look for the Kamado's siblings, he should be able to find them. Damn it! The question is, will there be enough time? System, oh system, what do you mean by imminent death? How long does imminent mean? That's right. System. Aren't you some Kochuo effect control system? You must have a way. I don't know if it was Horitake's illusion, but the electronic sound of the system in my mind seemed a little helpless. Ding. Please don't get too excited. One of the system's responsibilities is to help the host resolve the negative Kochuo effect. Hurry up then. Ding. The system issues a task. Please host solve the negative Kochuo effect, the death of Kamado's siblings. The system has a navigation function that can help the host find the Kamado brothers and sisters. According to the system's detection, the host's current strength is enough to fight against the danger that the Kamado brothers and sisters are about to encounter as long as they are cautious enough. Warm reminder, there are still 24 hours left before the Kamado's siblings die, please hurry on time. Reward for successful mission, advanced move of thunder breathing. First form. Thunderbolt flash. Mission failure penalty, Kamado Tanjiro and Kamado Nezuko die, the host loses his future wife and future brother-in-law, his fate changes drastically, and the Kochuo effect collapses further. Looking at the details of this mission, Horitake was a little dazed. So, that's what happened. I trigger the Kochuo effect. The system does not care about positive Kochuo effects, but for negative Kochuo effects, the system will issue tasks for me to solve personally. At the same time, the system's rewards can enhance my strength. Kill two birds with one stone. Horitake was in a state of surprise when a 24-hour countdown appeared in the upper right corner of his vision. Without a doubt, this was the system's time prompt. System, well done. I'll leave right away. Without saying a word, Horitake ran home and went straight to the house of Jigoro in Momoyama. He pushed the door open very roughly, almost knocking it over. Horikaku rushed into the house and started packing his things. Jigoro in the house looked confused. What are you doing, little brat? Horitake packed up quickly without even looking up. Stinky old man, this coat is quite warm, I'll requisition it first. I'll also requisition your spare Nichiren blades. And these rice balls, they'll serve as dry food for the journey. The well character above C.I. Wulang's head burst out. What on earth are you going to do, little brat? After packing up, Horitake ran out and quickly went down the mountain. C.I. Wulang stood at the door of the house and shouted angrily, what's going on? Where are you going? When will you be back? From the branches in the distance, Horitake's distant voice came back, I'm going to look for my future wife and future brother-in-law. Don't worry, I'll be back in a few days. Holding onto the door frame, the old man turned into a beady-eyed man, future wife and future brother-in-law? How come I don't know anything about this? Is this the reason why he came down the mountain several times before? As he thought about it, C.I. Wulang began to fall into beautiful fantasies. Petals appeared around him, and the painting style began to become cute. That's great. It's time for this brat to consider his lifelong affairs. I wonder which family this girl is from. Is she pretty? Is she virtuous? Is she worthy of my brat? On the other side, Horitake ran down the mountain and found the road. He followed the system's instructions and hurried on his way. As he ran, he thought, I will definitely catch up, I will definitely catch up. The system will not issue tasks that I cannot complete. As long as I maintain a good breathing rate and use thunder breathing well, I can make my physical strength last longer and increase my speed. Maybe I can also learn how to breathe with full concentration. Nezuko, my future wife, please don't let anything happen to you. Tanjiro, although it is somewhat incidental, but you can't get into any trouble. If you get into any trouble, the plot will be messed up, and my foresight as a time traveler will be discounted. In this way, Horitake kept traveling for 24 hours. When you are hungry, just eat a rice ball, when you are thirsty, just drink some stream water, when you are tired, take a rest, when you are sleepy, people who are on the road will not feel sleepy. Just like that, a day and a night passed, and the 24-hour countdown was coming to an end. So, what is the fatal danger that the Kamato's siblings are about to face? Logically speaking, when the Kamato's siblings first encountered a disaster and were heading towards Gorge Mt. Guanyu, except for a Buddhist temple ghost at the end, they did not encounter any other ghosts on their journey. Due to the negative Kochuo effect, this time, the Kamato's siblings unfortunately encountered another ghost on the road, a ghost with special powers. Nezuko. Tanjiro called out to his sister at the top of his lungs. The brother who wanted to protect his sister is now facing the exact opposite situation, with his sister protecting him. On the way, the brother and sister unfortunately encountered a ghost. Tanjiro was no match for the ghost, but fortunately Nezuko, who had turned into a ghost, had good fighting ability. She bravely rushed out to protect her brother. Covering his bleeding arm, Tanjiro looked at the ghost fighting with Nezuko, holding the axe, flustered and helpless. In fact, in terms of strength and speed alone, this ghost is just so-so. However, this ghost has a special ability that causes Tanjiro to get hurt and suffer a loss. Staring at the ghost intently, Tanjiro noticed that the enemy was about to open his mouth, and quickly reminded his sister loudly, careful. The ghost opened his mouth and shot out 4 fangs, like 4 darts, towards Nezuko. Although Nezuko was warned to dodge, she was still hit in the back by a fang. Chapter 4. Nezuko, who was wearing the bamboo tube, groaned when she was hit on the back by the fang dart. Tanjiro's voice broke in anxiety, Nezuko. Fortunately, Nezuko is now a ghost and has amazing self-healing abilities. Even though a hole was hit in her back, the wound healed immediately. But after all, the fangs were embedded in Nezuko's body, which was painful and affected her speed. Nezuko shouted angrily and started fighting with the fanged ghost again. The wind whistled as the two ghosts' claws tore at each other. Tanjiro on the side noticed that Nezuko's speed had dropped significantly and the situation was gradually falling into disadvantage. Hateful. Tanjiro pounded his fist on the ground. He was angry and anxious. He had never hated his own powerlessness and weakness as much as he did now, so weak that he could not protect his sister, so weak that Nezuko was hurt because of him. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! I'm so useless! I'm going to fight you! Furious, Tanjiro picked up the axe with his other intact arm and rushed towards the fanged demon. Unfortunately, he was defeated and was kicked away by the fanged ghost. Just as the fanged demon rushed over to eat Tanjiro, the angry Nezuko pushed the fanged demon away and stood in front of Tanjiro. She was like an angry little beast, baring her nails, whimpering and threatening at the fanged demon, protecting Tanjiro behind her. Fanged ghost couldn't help but ask, "What kind of group are you? Aren't you a ghost? Why don't you eat him? Why are you protecting humans?" Tanjiro sat up panting, holding the axe tightly and scolding the fang ghost, "Nezuko won't eat me. Nezuko is my sister. She is my most important family member." Tisk. The fanged ghost said disdainfully, "I will tear your family apart first. Then I will eat you." The fanged demon rushed up again and continued to fight with Nezuko. Tanjiro wanted to stand up and help Nezuko, but his broken ribs told him that he was basically powerless now. Seeing Nezuko falling further and further behind, Tanjiro felt somewhat desperate. "I have become a burden to Nezuko. If I continue like this, Nezuko will be in danger." He looked around, there was no one around, and nothing that could help them. "I'm really in a desperate situation." Looking at the axe in his hand, at this moment, Tanjiro even had an extremely sad thought: ghosts eat humans, but ghosts don't eat other ghosts. If I let this ghost eat me, he will stop bothering Nezuko, right? But if I die, what will happen to Nezuko? How will she live on? I can guarantee with my integrity that in the original novel, even in the most difficult situation, Tanjiro never had such sad and desperate thoughts. Now he actually has them. Damn negative Kocho effect, you are really tormenting me. At this moment, the winner was decided. Nezuko, who had just become a demon, was no match for the opponent and was knocked away by the fang demon again. Poor Nezuko hit the tree trunk, groaned, and slid down. Fang demon rushed towards Nezuko. Tanjiro was going crazy. Nezuko. At the critical moment, Horitake finally arrived. "If he hadn't arrived, I guess you would have beaten me to death." Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderbolt flash. Horitake, who arrived at the scene, was wrapped in arcs of electricity, his body turned into lightning, and he flashed at an extremely fast speed, drawing his sword and slashing. The fanged ghost turned his head and looked, but it was too late for him to react. He could only watch in horror as the purple lightning approached him. Swish! A flash of lightning passed by. The fang ghost's head fell off. Nezuko opened her big eyes that looked like juicy grapes and stared at the person who suddenly appeared without blinking. Tanjiro also widened his eyes at this sudden change, and then, he was still frightened, and then he was surprised to have survived the disaster. His whole body went limp and Tanjiro almost fell to the ground. As if she didn't sense any hostility from Horitake, Nezuko got up and trotted over to Tanjiro, looking at her brother worriedly. Tanjiro breathed a sigh of relief and quickly hugged Nezuko, tears streaming down her face. "Wow Nezuko, I was so scared. I'm so glad you're okay." Nezuko opened her eyes in a silly way, hesitated for a moment, and hugged Tanjiro back. Horitake, who killed the demon with one sword, also breathed a sigh of relief. He stood up and looked at this touching scene of brother and sister, feeling deeply moved. Sheathing the sword, Horitake looked back at the demon corpse on the ground. There was no reason for a demon beheaded by Nichiren blades to survive, so it quickly disappeared into thin air. After crying for a while, the brother and sister realized that they had saved their lives. Tanjiro hurried over, his gratitude overflowing with words, and he kowtowed before Horitake, his head hitting the ground with a thud. "Arigato. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saving my life." Even though he had traveled through time more than a decade ago, Horitake was still not used to such a gift from Japan, so he quickly pulled the stubborn boy up. "Not really, little brother, not really. Very serious. Senior. Very serious. Tanjiro was very determined, and was about to kowtow to Horitake again. If it weren't for Senior's timely rescue this time, my brother and I would have died in the wilderness. I can never repay you for saving my life. Thanks again. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Really, Tanjiro's gratitude has reached the sky. I guess if Horitake wanted to repay his kindness at this time, Tanjiro would not refuse. If Horigaku hadn't held the stubborn boy tightly, Tanjiro didn't know how many times he would have kowtowed to Horigaku. Just kidding, Horitake wouldn't dare to accept so many gifts from his future brother-in-law, it's just a token of his appreciation. After much persuasion, Horitake finally stopped Tanjiro from getting off the throne, and the two of them were able to talk relatively calmly. Of course, Horitake couldn't say that he came specially to save you, so he could only change his words without being humble. No need to thank me specially. I have been hunting this ghost for a while. You two are just unlucky. Today the sky is overcast and there is no sun. I guess this ghost must be very hungry, so it comes out to harm people in the daytime. At this point, Horigaku also realized that he had acted a little too self-righteously and needed to make up for it and cover up. By the way, it seems your sister is also a ghost. Horitake pulled out the Nichiren blades and treated Nezuko with a murderous look. There's nothing else to do. Let me help your sister get rid of it. Hearing this, which was similar to what Tomioka Gyuhu said yesterday, Tanjiro panicked, and regardless of his own injuries, he desperately grabbed Horitake to stop him. Senior. Stop it. Even though Nezuko is a ghost, she doesn't eat people. She won't hurt anyone either. I'm here and will never let that happen. Please spare Nezuko, she's a good ghost. How could Horitake act so easily as to believe him? Even though he was being pulled by Tanjiro, he still struggled. Brother, what nonsense are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? There is no good ghost in this world that doesn't eat people. I know you can't bear to part with your sister, but ghosts are ghosts and they should be punished. No, Senior. I'm telling the truth. Nezuko is not hurting you or me now. She was protecting me just now. Didn't you see it? That's true, but... The two of them were in a mess. Over there, Nezuko opened her eyes wide and looked at her brother and this strange man in confusion. Chapter 5. Tanjiro was also too concerned. His superb sense of smell didn't allow him to smell anything. There was no murderous aura on Horitake. He was just pretending to be murderous towards Nezuko. The stubborn boy tried his best to explain, and only then did Horitake hesitantly put away his knife. After a long explanation, even though he knew what the Kamado siblings had experienced before, Horitake still listened patiently. How can I put it? The sudden change and the misfortune of the brother and sister really made anyone who heard about it sad and anyone who saw it shed tears. Finally, Tanjiro mentioned Tomioka Gyuhu's name, and Horitake finally calmed down, so the three of them were able to talk face to face. Horigaku nodded, as if he had suddenly realized something. If it's Tomioka Gyuhu senpai, then you and your sister are more trustworthy, but ghosts that don't hurt people. Horitake looked at Nezuko and exclaimed in amazement. He seemed to be amazed, but in fact he was simply admiring Nezuko's cuteness and beauty. A ghost that doesn't hurt people is unheard of and unseen. Excuse me, Senior. Horitake waved his hand and said generously, my name is Horitake. I don't have a last name. I'm an orphan. You can just call me by my name. As a kind and polite boy, Tanjiro would not call his senior by his name. Horitake senpai, may I ask, are you and Tomioka Gyuhu senpai the same person? Well, how should I put it? We are a civilian organization that specializes in fighting demons, the Demon Slayer Corps. Senior Tomioka Gyuhu is a high-level fighter in the Demon Slayer Corps, known as a pillar. As for me, I am not an official member of the Demon Slayer Corps yet. I am a student of the Demon Slayer Corps and I am currently going down the mountain to gain experience. Of course, my strength is no weaker than the ordinary members of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro was mostly confused when hearing these new terms. Just as he was about to ask, Horitake spoke first. Didn't Tomioka Gyuhu senpai introduce you to Urokodaka senpai? Urokodaka senpai is one of our Demon Slayer Corps trainers. If you can become his disciple, you will be like a Demon Slayer Corps student, and you will be able to learn about these things gradually. Patting Tanjiro's shoulder, Horitake comforted him, don't worry. Isn't your destination Zyao Mountain? It is indeed the best place you can go at the moment. Tanjiro nodded, not quite understanding, and then quickly asked the question he was most concerned about, Horigaku-senpai, do you know if there is a way to turn a ghost back into a human? Glancing at Nezuko next to him, Horitake, for your sister. Yes. Turning a ghost into a human. As far as I know, there is no such thing. Tanjiro was a little discouraged, but he immediately cheered up, it's okay, I'll keep looking. Very good. Very energetic. Horigaku patted Tanjiro's shoulder with great appreciation and encouraged him, it's a good thing to have hope, Tanjiro, don't give up hope. Tanjiro nodded seriously. But the focus now is not Nezuko, but you, kid. Horitake suddenly changed his tone to a gentle one and said to him angrily. Ah. Nezuko is a ghost now, and her recovery ability is amazing. In just this moment, she has squeezed the fang darts out of her body, but what about you? Horitake grabbed Tanjiro's arm and pointed at the bloody wound and the fang stuck in it. It may seem like there's no bone injury, but this is the fang that spewed out of the ghost's mouth. How many germs are on it? You must bandage the wound and disinfect it immediately. There are no antibiotics for you these days. If your wound becomes inflamed, your life will be in danger. It doesn't matter if you die by then, who will you entrust your sister to? Entrust her to me? Tanjiro reacted and suddenly became panicked, covering his arm and yelling, ah! What should I do? Horitake-senpai. What should I do with this injury? Horitake is as steady as an old dog, no hurry, pull out the fangs first. Without saying a word, Horitake pulled out the long fang from the wound on Tanjiro's arm, and immediately, blood began to spurt out of the wound. Tanjiro's style is more impatient, ah! Horitake-senpai. It's gushing blood. It's gushing blood. Don't scream. Screaming is useless. It will only speed up your bleeding. Horitake continued as steady as an old dog. He tore off a long piece of cloth from his robe and quickly wrapped it around the base of his arm, and the blood stopped flowing as fast. That's it for now. We need to rush to the next town and disinfect and bandage the wound. The sooner the better. Horitake acted decisively and motioned for Nezuko to get into Tanjiro's backpack. Nezuko, your brother is injured and can't carry you. Now let me carry you for a while. Be good and listen to me. Nezuko looked at Horitake cutely, tilted her head, thought for a moment, then shrank and crawled into the backpack. Tanjiro on the side was a little surprised, Nezuko is actually willing to believe Horigaku-senpai. After covering the backpack with a cloth, Horitake took the backpack on his back and walked forward, motioning for Tanjiro to follow. What are you still dawdling about? Hurry up and catch up. Yes. Tanjiro, covering his arm, quickly followed Horitake's steps. Horigaku-senpai not only saved us, but also helped me so much. Horigaku-senpai is indeed a good person. It's a pity, Tanjiro, even if you are a boy, please don't say that I am a good person. Why? Wasn't I praising you? Where I come from, giving out nice guy cards is considered rude. There's such a thing? But Horitake-senpai, you just said you were an orphan. Shut up. Just listen, you are not allowed to express your opinions. Yes. The two of them quarreled and left quickly like a pair of brothers. In the afternoon, Horitake and his two companions arrived at a town. They quickly found a doctor in the town and performed emergency disinfection and suture on Tanjiro's wound. The wound on Tanjiro's arm was so deep that the bone was visible. It was a serious injury. While disinfecting and stitching, Tanjiro endured severe pain, his face turned pale and his head was covered with cold sweat. But this kid relied on his tenacity to bite the gauze tightly without making any sound, which made the doctor admire him again and again. Tanjiro held back from making a sound because he was afraid of worrying Nezuko in the backpack. However, brothers and sisters are connected by heart. When Tanjiro suffered severe pain, Nezuko in the backpack subconsciously felt a little uneasy, and arched her body under the thick cloth as if she wanted to come out. Horitake stroked Nezuko's head through the cloth and miraculously calmed Nezuko down. After the treatment was over and the payment was made, Horitake carried Nezuko on his back and supported Tanjiro, who seemed to be exhausted, out of the clinic. Looking at the brother and sister in a bad state, Horitake shook his head helplessly. Forget it. I'll be a good person to the end. Let's rest in this town for one night. Tomorrow I'll just take you directly to Xiao Mountain. Tanjiro thanked Horitake for his kindness with a pale face. Horigaku-senpai, not only did you save us and help me so much, you even paid for the doctor's visit. I really can't accept your kindness anymore. Don't give me that. How can you take your sister to Zaya Mountain in your current state? But, how can I repay your kindness, Horitake-senpai? How about when Nezuko turns back into a human, I'll make her my bride? What? This. Nezuko arched her back in the basket. You're just kidding. This matter hasn't even started yet. Let's go and find a place to stay first. Chapter 6. Horitake took Tanjiro and Nezuko to stay in the town for one night. Of course, the accommodation fee was still paid by Horitake, which made Tanjiro feel very guilty. Horitake-senpai. I will definitely return the money to you. Tanjiro promised. Okay, as long as you have this intention, Horitake replied. The next day, Horitake carried Nezuko and dragged Tanjiro to the town doctor for the second time to change the dressing on Tanjiro's wound. When the doctor changed the dressing, he carefully checked the wound and confirmed that there was no sign of inflammation. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief. It was precisely because of this confirmation that the system in Horitake's mind began to move. Ding! Kamatu Tanjiro and Kamatu Nezuko are confirmed to be safe. The host has successfully resolved the negative Kocho effect, completed the mission, and obtained the mission reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for learning thunder breathing. Form 1. Thunderbolt 1 flash. Thunderbolt 6 flashes. Thunderbolt 9 flashes. Thunderbolt 12 flashes. Thunderbolt 24 flashes. Thunderbolt 36 flashes. Thunderbolt 72 flashes. Thunderbolt 108 flashes. Thunderbolt 365 flashes. Ding! Friendly reminder, this combo comes from the Hyga clan's 8 trigrams 32 palms, 8 trigrams 64 palms, and 8 trigrams 128 palms in Naruto. Before Horitake could react, his physical fitness suddenly improved explosively. Even his mental strength improved significantly. Feeling his own skyrocketing strength, Horitake was overjoyed. It turns out that the system's rewards are not just as simple as moves. In order to allow Horitake to fully master them, the system also enhanced his physique. Now he can perform this combo very skillfully. Come to think of it, being able to dodge 365 knives in an instant requires extremely high physical fitness. Horitake estimated that his current physical fitness had reached the level of a pillar. This is really a wave of fat. Tanjiro, who was changing the dressing, seemed to smell something, and his extraordinary sense of smell began to work. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but Tanjiro felt that Horitake-senpai seemed to have become much stronger in an instant. It must be an illusion. How could such an outrageous thing be possible? Not long after, Tanjiro finished changing the dressing and rebandaging it. The three of them left the clinic together. At this time, Horitake suggested, I might as well send you two siblings to Gorge Mist Mountain. Tanjiro felt even worse. Horitake-senpai, there's really no need to bother you anymore. You've already helped me a lot. It's okay. We're on the same way. I'll take you there. What if you encounter a ghost again on the way? Tanjiro was embarrassed and hesitated. If they encounter a ghost again, without Horitake's protection, they will be helpless. Horitake comforted him, Tanjiro, don't think too much. If you want to repay me, then work hard to learn skills from Senior Urokodaki, join the Demon Slayer Corps in the future, and kill more demons. Carrying Nezuko in the backpack, Horitake took the lead and walked forward. Tanjiro, stop standing there and follow me. Tanjiro cheered up and chased after him. Yes. Horitake-senpai. In this way, the two of them traveled day and night. During the day, Nezuko hid in the backpack, and at night, Nezuko came out to get some fresh air. They traveled day and night to Zaya Mountain. Soon, in the early morning of the third day, they approached their destination. The three of them walked side by side on the night road, chatting as they went. Horitake-senpai, the lady before said that as long as we climb over this mountain, the next mountain will be Kijiri Mountain. It seems that we are almost at our destination. Horitake was somewhat helpless. Yes. I really don't know where you got the energy to travel overnight. Tanjiro smiled bitterly, I can't help it. Nezuko can only come out for fresh air at night. Senior, there are lights ahead. It looks like a Buddhist temple. Horitake took a few steps forward to check. Really? There's actually a temple on a mountain like this? There's even a light on in the temple at this hour. Wait. After reacting, Horitake realized that something was wrong. This was a familiar plot. Tanjiro's reaction was faster. He sniffed twice and smelled the bloody smell coming from the temple. His face changed drastically. It smells like blood. Someone must have been injured. The stubborn boy took Nezuko's hand and ran into the temple. Horitake also realized where this plot was coming from and quickly followed. Tanjiro opened the door of the Buddhist hall anxiously and was about to ask when he saw a shocking scene. Inside the Buddhist temple, a ghost was tearing a corpse apart, leaving the ground covered in blood. Although it was not the first time he had seen a ghost, it was the first time he had seen a ghost eat a human being. Tanjiro was so frightened that he stood stiffly at the door of the Buddhist temple, unable to move. But even worse is Nezuko. When Nezuko saw the human corpse, her bloodthirsty nature as a ghost seemed to be uncontrollable. Her eyes were fixed on the broken fresh corpse, and saliva kept flowing out of her mouth. Nezuko is enduring and fighting against her cannibalistic nature. Standing outside, watching this scene, Horitake was helpless. This is really a terrible scene. Tanjiro was about to say something when he was suddenly hit by the Buddhist temple ghost and flew into the yard and fell to the ground. The temple ghost rushed out of the temple ferociously, pounced on Tanjiro, grabbed Tanjiro's neck and pressed him to the ground. Human? I didn't expect to have an extra meal tonight. The terrified Tanjiro struggled hard and split the neck of the temple ghost with an axe. But the ghost's self-healing ability was so strong that his throat healed instantly. He knocked Tanjiro's axe away, opened his mouth full of fangs, and was about to bite Tanjiro. Where is Horitake? He was now beside Nezuko, looking seriously at Nezuko's condition. If Nezuko can fight against her cannibalistic nature, that's best. If she can't, that's bad. I hope the negative Kocho effect won't appear at this time. Horitake-senpai. Help! Tanjiro finally couldn't hold on any longer and began to call for help. Oh my god, I almost forgot about him. Horitake pulled out the Nichiren blades easily, and shot the blade out, stabbing it towards Tanjiro. Tanjiro, you will encounter this kind of thing sooner or later. I will lend you the Nichiren blades, and let you see blood today. Don't let Nezuko down. As expected of the protagonist, at the critical moment, Tanjiro burst out with strength, pushed the Buddhist ghost away, grabbed the Nichiren blades and swung forward. Puff! Blood splattered. Tanjiro chopped the Buddha hall ghost in half. But the ghost still didn't die. Its upper body dragged its upper limbs, and its lower body dragged its lower limbs, and it continued to kill Tanjiro ferociously. Tanjiro was so scared that his voice changed. Horitake-senpai. He's still alive. He's still alive. Cut off the head. Only by chopping off the demon's head with Nichiren blades will the demon die. It's just a little demon, Tanjiro, I believe you can kill him. Yes. Tanjiro suppressed his fear and mustered up the courage to fight. Meanwhile, Nezuko's condition has also improved. Nezuko seemed to have suppressed her bloodthirsty nature. She closed her eyes and refused to look at the broken fresh corpse. Even though her saliva was dripping, she still clenched her teeth and turned her head away. Horitake smiled, touched Nezuko's head, and praised, "Nice job, Nezuko." Ah! Over there, Tanjiro screamed, and he was knocked away by the Buddhist temple ghost again. Nezuko dodged Horitake's hand and quickly ran over to help her brother fight the demon. Horitake's hands froze in place, feeling a little embarrassed. Well, after all, he is my brother who has been with me through thick and thin. It's already very good that he allows me to pat his head. Chapter 7. In the original novel, Tanjiro could barely subdue the temple ghost with just an axe. Now that Tanjiro has the Nichiren blades, there is no reason for the brother and sister to fail when they are 2 against 1. Although he was a little inconvenient due to his injured arm, after a hard fight, Tanjiro still successfully killed the Buddhist temple ghost. At this time, the early morning sun came out and shone into the Buddhist temple halfway up the hill. Nezuko quickly rushed into the temple to avoid the sun. Tanjiro hadn't noticed his sister's situation yet. He was holding the Nichiren blades, looking at the disappearing ghost corpse, panting and feeling frightened. After a while, Tanjiro realized what he had done. He shouted to Horitake in surprise, "Senior! I succeeded! I successfully killed a ghost!" Horitake smiled and nodded in approval. "Well done, what do you think?" "Urokodaka-senpai, no, Urokodaka-shi." At some point, a man appeared in the yard. This man was none other than Urokodaka Seikanji, the former water pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps and current trainer. Tanjiro looked at the man wearing the red Tengu mask and felt that this man had an extraordinary aura. Maybe because he was still immersed in the after effects of killing a demon, the relatively clever Tanjiro was now a little dazed, staring blankly at Urokodaki. Horitake was a little anxious. Silly boy, this is your future master. Why don't you quickly pay your respects, flatter him, and hug his thighs? What are you standing there for? Helplessly, Horitake can only help Tanjiro to improve his impression points. Master Urokodaki, this kid was able to kill a ghost alone without any training. His aptitude can be said to be quite good, right? Unexpectedly, Urokodaki acted a little cold. This is just the most common and weakest kind of ghost. There's nothing to be proud of. Tanjiro finally reacted, quickly retracted his knife, and faced Urokodaki, very nervous and respectful. Are you Master Urokodaki? My name is Kamado Tanjiro, and I was introduced to you by Senior Tomioka Gyuu. I have read Gyuu's letter. I know about you and your sister, but... Kamado Tanjiro, forgive me for being blunt, but I don't think you have the talent that Gyuu said. I'm sorry. Tanjiro's face turned pale, with a wave of despair. Am I rejected? Horitake was dumbfounded. What was going on? This was different from what we had agreed on? Old man Urokodaki, shouldn't you teach Tanjiro a lesson, test him twice, and finally accept him as your disciple? How so? Could it be another Kocho effect? As if to confirm what Horitake was thinking, the system in his mind spoke, ding. The host helped Kamado Tanjiro slay the Buddha Hall ghost, disrupting fate and triggering a negative Kocho effect. Urokodaki Seikanji refused to accept Tanjiro as his apprentice. Horitake was extremely angry and confronted the system in his mind. What do you mean by disrupting fate? How did I help Tanjiro kill the Buddhist temple ghost? I didn't do anything the whole time, okay. The host lending Tanjiro the Nichiren blades is a form of help. FKU. Is this considered help? The system ignored Horitake's inner roar and directly issued the task, ding. The system issues a task, please host solve the negative Kocho effect, Urokodaki Seikanji's rejection. Urokodaki Seikanji was disheartened because more than a dozen of his disciples died on Fujisaizan. He did not intend to teach any more disciples, nor did he intend to endure this pain. Please ask the host to persuade Urokodaki to accept Tanjiro as his apprentice. Warm reminder, the host can choose to persuade verbally or by force. Reward for successful mission, special ability, clairvoyance. Mission failure penalty, Kamado Tanjiro cannot become Urokodaki's disciple, his fate changes dramatically, and the Kocho effect collapses further. The future is unpredictable. It actually caused a negative Kocho effect and actually triggered the task. Thinking of the friendly reminder just given by the system, Horitake felt helpless. What can be persuaded or forced into submission? What nonsense! Beat him to submission. Although my strength has greatly increased, it might be a bit difficult to defeat the former water pillar. Persuade. This old man has a very strong character and he is not the kind of person who can change his mind with just a few words. There is no other choice but to try a two-pronged approach. Just when Tanjiro was desperate and helpless, and at a loss of what to do, Horitake stepped forward. He walked over and solemnly faced Urokodaki Seikanji. Senior Urokodaki, please forgive me for being blunt, but what you just said was biased. Urokodaki was also somewhat interested in Horitake, so he turned to look at Horitake and said in a calm tone, "Oh? Who are you?" "A member of the Demon Slayer Corps. My name is Horitake, and I am not yet a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. My master is Jigoro Kawahima. So he is his disciple." "Yes, this time I went down the mountain for training and encountered the Kamado siblings. I was moved by their determination, so I escorted them all the way here." At this point, Horitake became emotional and his tone became aggressive. The two siblings were in such a pity that they encountered such a disaster. Fortunately, they came all the way here thanks to the introduction of Tomioka Gyuu-senpai in my presence. I finally came here and met you, Master Urokodaki, but you said that Tanjiro has no talent. I cannot agree with that. Horitake-senpai. Tanjiro, who was standing by, was very moved and a little anxious when he saw Horitake trying his best to fight for himself. Is what Horitake-senpai said too harshly? Will I offend Master Urokodaki because of me? Being directly rejected by the junior Horitake, Urokodaki could no longer maintain his good temper. Boy, what do you want to say? I am stating a fact, that is, Tanjiro has extraordinary talent. You are mistaken. What? Excuse me, Master Urokodaki, but Tanjiro just killed a demon with absolutely no experience, which in itself is an outstanding talent. And her sister Nezuko, you just saw that she was able to overcome her bloodthirsty nature when faced with a fresh corpse. What a strong will! These two siblings have both outstanding talents and strong wills. Can this be called having no talent? Or are you denying something, Master Urokodaki? What are you avoiding? Horitake unintentionally hurt Urokodaki's heart, and Urokodaki couldn't help but get a little angry. You little brat. Horitake was not afraid and changed his tone. If Master Urokodaki is determined not to accept Tanjiro, then forget it. Hey! Tanjiro was stunned. I can introduce Tanjiro to my master. It just so happens that my master only has me as his apprentice. If he has another outstanding apprentice, he will definitely be very happy. And I think that compared to your water breathing, Master Urokodaki, Tanjiro might be more suitable for thunder breathing. With Tanjiro's outstanding talents, he will surely become a powerful demon slayer swordsman or even a pillar in the future. When the time comes, Tanjiro, you have to defeat Tomioka Jiu, that expressionless man, in front of everyone. Give Master Urokodaki some face. Hey! Tanjiro was further dumbfounded. Horitake continued to stimulate Urokodaki. In that case, Tanjiro, whom you, Master Urokodaki, looked down upon, was taught by my master. This not only proves that Tanjiro is very capable, but also proves that you, Master Urokodaki, are blind today. Horitake's voice landed loud and clear. Tanjiro next to him was trembling with fear. Horitake-senpai, isn't this inappropriate? Urokodaki had a blank expression on his face. Where did the expression come from under the mask? And he said nothing. Horitake and Urokodaki stared at each other, their eyes colliding and their momentum confronting each other. It was quiet all around and the atmosphere was depressing. Chapter 8. In the extremely depressing atmosphere, Urokodaki finally spoke. Boy, you dare to provoke me, do you really think I will be fooled? Tanjiro next to him reacted and realized that his senior had been provoking him. Horitake was not at all embarrassed by being exposed. It is indeed a provocation. If I don't provoke you, Master Urokodaki, you won't give in. Humph. Boy, if it was Kawahime Jigoro who provoked me just now, maybe I would give him some face and not take it to heart. But you, a junior, dare to be so disrespectful to me, a senior among seniors. As he spoke, Urokodaki drew the Nichiren blades from his waist. I want to test your strength and teach you a lesson on behalf of that guy Sangdeo. Tanjiro was even more panicked. What was going on? Was this going to be a fight? Horitake held out his hand to Tanjiro with a blank expression. Give me back the knife. Hey! Tanjiro panicked. Are they really going to fight? He wanted to persuade Horitake, but looking at Horitake's expression at that moment, Tanjiro really didn't have the courage to persuade him, so he could only return the Nichiren blades to Horitake obediently. Horitake drew his sword and faced Urokodaki. Master Urokodaki, there's no need to beat around the bush. If you want to beat me up, just say so. Although I have limited strength, I won't sit still and wait for death. It's not that easy for you to teach me a lesson. How about this, we decide the outcome with one move. Oh. Urokodaki was a little interested. I'll make a bet with you, just one move. If I fall down directly after one move, I will not mention the matter of accepting them as my disciples anymore. I will immediately take them back to Doshin. If my performance is okay, please consider accepting Tanjiro as your apprentice again. If I am lucky enough to defeat you, please accept Tanjiro as your apprentice and help take care of Nezuko. It was at this time that Horitake used his true method of provoking the opponent. And Urokodaki really fell for this provocation. Or rather, he had to fall for it. As the former water pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, how could he retreat when facing a student who was not even a swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps? How could he be cowardly? That's definitely not possible. So even though he realized that this was another provocation, Urokodaki jumped in without hesitation. He agreed with great vigor. Okay. Just as you said, we'll decide the outcome with one move. In the courtyard of this Buddhist temple, Horitake and Urokodaki drew their swords and faced each other. Tanjiro on the side was so scared that he was like a rabbit. It was over. A real fight had started. How could things turn out like this? The two of them stared at each other closely, not missing any of the other's moves. To show respect and to take the initiative, Horitake made the first move. attacking swiftly, thunder breathing. First form. Thunder 108 flashes. A brilliant purple arc of electricity wrapped around Horitake, and in an instant, Horitake's aura reached its highest point. He attacked Urokodake brazenly. Urokodake, who was covered by the Tengu mask, suddenly changed his expression. This momentum. Not good. This kid is no weaker than Zhu. I underestimated him. Water breathing. Landform. Twist vortex. Urokodake swings Nichiren blades, twisting them violently around to create a powerful vortex. The vortex sword energy turns into a sharp and huge blade, cutting everything around it. This is a move that combines offense and defense. However, Horitake's 108 thunderbolt flashes were even more powerful, attacking without defense, and fighting with all his might. In an instant, Horitake slashed out 108 times with flashes of purple lightning. Although the power of each knife was not very strong, when 108 knives came at him, the power was quite terrifying. This was Urokodake's surprised thought at this time. The huge twisting vortex collides with the lightning that is striving forward. Tanjiro, who was standing by, was amazed at this rare scene. Is this really a power that a human can create? So scary. So amazing. The two ultimate moves collided. The vortex was eliminated and the lightning disappeared. However, a ray of purple lightning eventually broke through the twisting vortex. Horitake and Urokodake came face to face and stopped at the same time. The atmosphere was very quiet, as if waiting for something. Snap! The Tengu mask on Urokotake's face split into two smooth halves from top to bottom. This was the effect of the purple lightning. The Tengu mask fell off, and Urokodake's true appearance was revealed to Horitake. Well, he's a handsome old man, nothing much to say about that. As a sign of respect, Horitake was the first to put away his sword. Master Urokotake, I'm sorry. Urokodake also put away his Nichiren blades, and his expression seemed to be somewhat regretful. Tanjiro was stunned. It seemed that Horitake-senpai had won just now. I didn't expect that you are so strong at such a young age, and you have practiced the lightning breathing so well. To be honest with you, Master Urokodake, I have been practicing thunder breathing for a while. Although I have only learned the first form so far, I have created many moves based on the first form. The Thunderbolt 108 flashes just now is one of them. Lin Long paused. Is this guy in Versailles? Forget it, enough people have been lost today. Okay, this time I was careless and underestimated the enemy. This is a relent. Agreed. Horitake was delighted, and pulled over the confused Tanjiro, pressed his head down and bowed to Urokodake. Silly boy, what are you still standing there for? Master Urokodake has accepted you. Why don't you hurry up and become his disciple? Tanjiro was overjoyed and was about to knock down to Urokodake. Urokotake stopped him in time. Wait a minute. Tanjiro, let me ask you, if your sister eats people one day, what will you do? Tanjiro's heart skipped a beat. No. Nezuko won't eat people. Idiot. How can you guarantee it? How can you guarantee it? What if something like this really happens? Tanjiro looked at Nezuko, who was hiding from the sun in the temple with embarrassment. His face was painful and he was in a dilemma. Just like in the original novel, Urokodake slapped Tanjiro and yelled at him, "Idiot! You should answer this, if Nezuko eats someone one day, I will kill my sister first and then commit suicide." Tanjiro woke up, and although in pain, he shouted firmly, "Yes. If Nezuko eats someone one day, I will kill Nezuko first, and then commit suicide." Urokodake nodded in satisfaction. Horitake, who was standing next to him, saw this, sighed, and encouraged Tanjiro. "Tanjiro, you have experienced too much and have shouldered too much. If you don't have this kind of awareness, how can you move forward in the future? This realization is painful, but necessary." Tanjiro remained silent, his fists clenched tightly. Urokotake said to Tanjiro, "If you want to become my disciple, you must first accept my test. Follow me. Catch up with me." After saying that, Urokotake stepped onto the road and ran away quickly. Tanjiro's first reaction was not to catch up, but to pick up Nezuko from the temple first. Who would have thought that Horitake was quicker, putting Nezuko into a backpack, covering it tightly with a thick cloth, and carrying it on his shoulders, motioning Tanjiro to catch up. "Leave Nezuko to me. Go and complete Master Urokodake's test." "Why don't you go now?" "Yes." Tanjiro shouted loudly, ran onto the road, looked at Urokodaka's back, and chased after him while shouting. At this time, Tanjiro didn't think about anything else, just thinking, Horitake senpai was willing to fight with Urokodaka sensei just to make me his disciple, which was another great favor. I feel like I will never be able to repay Horitake senpai's kindness in this lifetime. We must complete Master Urokodaka's test no matter what and not let Nezuko and Horitake down. Chapter 9. Similar to the original plot, Tanjiro chases Urokodaka's back all the way. By the time Urokodaka returned to his residence in Kujiriyama, Tanjiro, who had been chasing him the entire time, was already exhausted. Urokodaka invited Horitake into his house. After Horitake settled Nezuko, Urokodaka took Tanjiro to the top of Mt. Kujiri to start the second test. The second test requires Tanjiro to get down the mountain before dawn, passing through layers of traps. After leaving Tanjiro alone on the mountain, Urokodaka returned alone. In Urokodaka's house, Nezuko played alone, leaving Horitake and Urokodaka alone in the middle of the room, lighting a fire and sitting opposite each other. The two looked at each other, their eyes wide open. No one spoke for a while and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Urokodaka didn't say anything because he had just been defeated and it was really embarrassing to fail in front of the juniors. Horitake didn't say anything because he really didn't know what to say. Fortunately, they both had a common topic, which was Tanjiro. Urokodaka asked Horitake, I have set up countless traps on the Gorge Mist Mountain. Do you think Tanjiro can complete my test? Horitake is confident, this kid has extraordinary talent. I believe he can do it. Staring at Horitake carefully, Urokodaka looked again and again, wondering, I really don't know why you have so much confidence in him. Of course I have confidence in Tanjiro, said Horitake, looking at Nezuko who was beginning to feel sleepy. Tanjiro has his reasons for completing the test. His sister is still waiting for him here. He will never fail, and he will never fall down. Influenced by Horitake's tone, Urokodaka seemed to recall the past. Yes, human will can create miracles. And you, boy, you are young but have amazing strength. It is a blessing for that guy Sangdeo to have a disciple like you. Haha, I am lucky to have such a master. If it weren't for that stinky old man, I would have died a long time ago. How could I be here today? It seems that you are also a person full of stories. Yeah, it's not easy for anyone these days. The old and the young talked for a long time about Horitake himself and the recent situation of Jigoro Kawashima. Before she knew it, time had passed and Nezuko fell asleep. Looking at the charcoal fire gradually dying out, Urokodaka estimated the time. It's almost dawn, it's almost time. Horitake also turned serious. In the original novel, Tanjiro rushed back at the last moment and completed Urokodaka's test, but now Tanjiro is injured, and the process of going down the mountain will definitely not be as smooth as in the original novel. However, Horigaku still has great confidence in Tanjiro, because he is the protagonist. While the two were lost in thought, the door was suddenly opened and Tanjiro's embarrassed figure appeared at the door. Horitake and Urokodaka looked over and saw Tanjiro leaning against the door frame, breathing heavily. His clothes were dirty and torn, and there were grass and leaves in his hair. There was blood on his shoulders, neck, and face. One could imagine how difficult his experience was. The sun rose and shone on Tanjiro. Exhausted, Tanjiro could no longer hold on and knelt at the door. Urokodaka smiled for the first time in a long time. Good job, Tanjiro. Tanjiro breathed a sigh of relief when Master Urokodaka recognized him. After he let out this sigh of relief, Tanjiro could no longer hold on and staggered against the door frame before falling asleep. From the time he encountered the temple ghost the night before yesterday to the time he completed the test this morning, Tanjiro hadn't slept a wink. His mind was constantly tense and his body was exhausted to the extreme. He can finally take a break. Horitake and Urokodaka dragged Tanjiro into the house, found a room to put him down, and let him have a good rest. At the same time, the system's electronic voice sounded in Horitake's mind, ding. Confirmed that Urokodaka Seikanji is willing to accept Kamatu Tanjiro as his apprentice. The host has successfully resolved the negative Kocho effect, completed the mission, and obtained the mission reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the special ability, clairvoyance. Ding! Friendly reminder, after the host gains clairvoyance, he can see many things that ordinary people cannot see. Clairvoyance? Horitake didn't feel any difference. He just felt that his eyesight was clearer. As for clairvoyance and the like, we can experiment with it slowly later. Now that the mission has been completed and Tanjiro has been settled, it's time for Horitake to leave. Horitake stood up and bowed to Urokodaki. Master Urokodaki, I'll leave Tanjiro and Nezuko in your care from now on. Don't worry, leave it to me. Nodding, Horitake opened the door, walked out, and prepared to leave Kujiri Mountain. Unexpectedly, as soon as he set foot on the road down the mountain, he discovered something. His spiritual vision activated and he turned around to look. In the mist, Horitake clearly saw two figures. It was a boy and a girl. The boy has orange hair and wears a fox mask with scars carved on it. The girl is petite and wears a fox mask with blue flowers printed on it at her side. Kaigaku recognized the two people almost instantly. They were Sabato and Makomo. These are the two most unforgettable characters in Demon Slayer. Horitake stopped and bowed to Sabato and Makomo. Tanjiro and Nezuko, please take care of them. Sabato and Makomo were a little surprised. Makomo asked hesitantly, You can see us? We have long been. I can see you, Horitake pointed at his eyes with a little pride, just like Tanjiro's extraordinary sense of smell. My eyes also have special abilities that allow me to see things that others cannot see. Sabato nodded, I understand. Tanjiro is my junior fellow apprentice. I will take good care of him. After saying goodbye to Sabato and Makomo, Horitake went down the mountain, officially left Kujiri Mountain, and started heading towards Momoyama. It took about another day, and Horitake finally returned to the town at the foot of Momoyama. When you get here, you are almost at the doorstep of your home, and the rest of the journey is just up the mountain. While wandering around the town, Horitake muttered to himself, this time I was out for almost a week. When I get back, the old man will definitely ask me endless questions. I definitely can't tell anyone about the system. How am I going to explain to that old guy later? I have a headache. There was no other choice but to buy 2 bottles of good wine in town as an apology to the old man. I hoped that the wine would shut him up and stop him from asking too many questions. Just as Horitake finished buying some wine in the store, he heard a commotion outside. The first to be heard were the ferocious voices of several men. UBD. How many days have passed? Why don't you pay me back? Do you know how much money you owe? If you don't pay me back this time, I'll break your legs. In addition to these angry shouts, there was the crackling sound of beatings, and covered by the beatings were the miserable pleas for mercy and cries, Woo. Stop hitting me. If you keep hitting me, I'll die. I'll definitely die. Brothers, if I die, I'll never be able to pay you back the money I owe you, right? This voice sounds a bit familiar. Horitake thought of something and black lines appeared on his head. Could it be? Carrying the wine out of the store, Horitake checked the situation outside. On the street in the town, several burly men were punching and kicking a young boy. The boy cowardly held his head on the ground, begging for mercy while being beaten. This kind of excitement is rare, and many people watched from afar, pointing and talking. Chapter 10. Faced with the rather humorous debt collection scene, Horitake had some guesses but was not sure. He went closer and listened to the people around him talking about this young man. It's Zenitsu, it's this unlucky kid again. It's him. He was dumped by his girlfriend again. It seems so. How many times has this happened? The 4th, 5th, 6th. I can't count anymore. Being dumped is fine, but I have to spend so much money on these women every time. This can't go on. Who says it isn't? Little by little, it adds up. I guess Zenitsu has already accumulated a huge debt. Listening to the discussions of the people around him, Horitake was upset. Needless to say, it's this guy. Agatsuma Zenitsu. Horitake's future junior, the future sleeping pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. Because the boy still had black hair now, not the yellow hair he would have after being struck by lightning, Horitake was reluctant to recognize him before. Urokodaki had just accepted Tanjiro, and Momoyama had Agatsuma Zenitsu appear. What should Horitake say? Was everything God's will? Since he is his future junior fellow apprentice, he cannot just stand by and watch. Horitake plans to step forward to rescue him. Wait. I saved this kid now, I hope he won't snatch Nezuko from me in the future. Can't it? Why have I traveled thousands of miles and visited various places in this week? It is not only to complete the mission, but more importantly to save the future brother-in-law and future wife, and to improve their favorability at the same time. Now that I have saved Agatsuma Zenitsu, isn't that the same as saving a future love rival? Thinking of this, Horitake's eyes became ferocious. Otherwise, just ignore him and let Zenitsu fend for himself. Hehe, just kidding. Horitake wouldn't just stand by and watch someone die. Besides, it doesn't matter if Zenitsu is saved. With this kid's cowardly and negative character, Horitake is sure that he can make him obedient. Even if he has 8 guts, he will never dare to snatch his wife from him in the future. Kaigaku walked out of the crowd and stopped several big men who were using fists and feet to collect debts. Hey guys, that's enough. If you keep fighting, the guy will die. How can he pay his debt after he dies? Several debt collectors stopped when they heard the noise, and looked unfriendly when they saw someone interfering. People in their line of work have bad tempers, and if they see someone interrupting them, they will turn around and use violence. Of course, people in their line of work have a lot of insight and knowledge. Seeing that Horitake was very imposing and had a knife hanging from his waist, they did not act rashly. What do you want to do? Are you going to speak for this BD? I advise you not to do that. It is only natural to pay back a debt. On the ground, Zenitsu, with a bruised face and nose, heard someone come to his rescue, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw, and rushed over to hug Horitake's thighs, crying loudly, "Help me, big brother! Please save me! I will die if I continue like this. I will really die." Veins popped out of Horitake's forehead, and he said in a gloomy tone, "Boy, if you dare to rub your tears and snot on my legs, I will beat you to death first." The timid Zenitsu shivered and quickly wiped his tears and snot with his sleeves, still holding on to Horitake's thighs. Nodding with satisfaction, Horitake patted Zenitsu's head like a ball, and said to the debt collectors, "It is only natural to pay back debts. Let me tell you this. Although this boy is a coward, he is still a hard worker. I plan to take him back to be a servant." The debt collector asked, "You mean, you're going to pay off his debt?" "That's it. You should send the bill to Mr. Jigoro Kawashima on Momoyama later. You know Mr. Kawashima, right? He's a famous swordsman in the area. You must trust his character, right? We have heard of Mr. Sangdao's name, but you are. I am the eldest disciple of Jigoro Kawashima. Don't worry, my master and I won't run away." Several debt collectors discussed it and finally came to a unanimous conclusion, "Young man, we are willing to trust you and the character of Mr. Kawashima. We will let this kid go for now. We will go to Doshin to visit the old man later." Sure. Several debt collectors left. By the way, Horigaku took on Zenitsu's debt for Jigoro on his own initiative. Wasn't he worried that Jigoro didn't have that much money? He is not worried. Jigoro in the original novel was able to pay off Zenitsu's debts, and the old man now can definitely do the same. What a scumbag! The pendant on Horitake's leg, Agatsuma Zenitsu. He was so moved that tears were streaming down his face. He couldn't express his gratitude to Horitake in words. His tears and snot were rolling down his cheeks. Wow! Anaki, big brother, you are really my savior. You helped me a lot. Wow! Get out of my way. Keep your tears and snot away. Be careful or I'll beat you up. Wow, I'm just so touched. Don't be so moved. Didn't you understand what I said just now? I paid off your debt, and your life is mine. From now on, you are the only servant on Doshin Mountain, and all the dirty work on the mountain is yours. Ah! Zenitsu was dumbfounded. Horitake intends to continue teasing Zenitsu, what? I'll pay off your debts, and you work for me. That's normal. Then what do I do in the mountains? You are just a servant, and you still want to choose your job? All the work on the mountain is yours. Washing clothes, cooking, chopping wood, making fire, cleaning toilets. Do you have any objections? Zenitsu pursed his lips. Due to Horitake's ferocious aura that was like that of a great devil, he dared not say a word of opinion. Woo! What am I doing? Just out of the wolf's den, and into the tiger's den again? Zenitsu was at his wit's end and could only follow Horitake obediently and tremblingly, following his footsteps up Momoyama and accepting his unknown fate with trepidation. Carrying 2 bottles of good wine and followed by an Agatsuma Zenitsu, Horitake happily went up the mountain and knocked on the door of Jigoro Kawashima's house. When he opened the door, he saw that it was Horitake. Kawashima Jigoro was furious. As expected, he started to yell angrily, "You little brat! It's been a week. And you still remember to come back. Horitake remained calm and composed despite Jigero's anger. Stinky old man, I'm back. I was just delayed for a few days. Why are you so angry? I went out to do something important this time. My future brother-in-law and future wife, their family has something terrible going on, I have to settle them down before I come back. Jigero was about to continue to get angry when he noticed Zenitsu cowering behind Horitake and pointed at him and asked, could this be the future brother-in-law you mentioned? Ah! Looking back at Zenitsu, Horitake reacted and slapped himself on the forehead. Ouch! No. You misunderstood, old man. Who is he? Looking at Zenitsu, Horitake said with a smile, he's a poor fellow I met by chance in the town below. I brought him back to be our servant. From now on, all the work on the mountain will be left to him. Of course, if you like him, old man, it's not impossible to accept him as your disciple in the future. Servant? What's going on? Horitake briefly explained Zenitsu's debt problem, and Jigero was furious. What? You little BD. You didn't even know how much money he owed, and you pushed his debt onto me without authorization. Don't worry, I know you have saved a lot of money, old man. I will definitely be able to help him pay it off. What if I can't pay it back? That's easy. Just throw this kid down the mountain and let him fend for himself. Zenitsu was dumbfounded. Chapter 11. Jigero Kawashima really couldn't do anything with Horigaku. This kid would do whatever he wanted sometimes. There is no other way. The debt has been taken over. What else can I do? Let's do this for now. C.I. Wulang returned to the house and opened the door. Okay, Horitake, you come back first, and that kid, you come in first. The two entered C.I. Wulang's house. Of course, Horitake acted as if he was at home. He took off his shoes, lay down on the tatami, and began to doze off near the stove. He was exhausted after running around outside for a week. Jigero was too lazy to care about Horitake. He was sitting on the tatami, looking at the timid Agatsuma Zenitsu in front of him. The old man had a serious face and a fierce aura. May I have your name? Zenitsu was so frightened that he quickly got off his seat. My name is Agatsuma Zenitsu. Please give me your guidance. Well, Agatsuma Zenitsu, right? Horitake didn't explain clearly what happened to you, so tell me, what's your situation? And your debt problem, what are you going to do in the future? What can Zenitsu do? He was in deep debt before, and now he has finally grabbed a life-saving straw. How can he let it go? So, Zenitsu, with great fear and trepidation, explained his situation and was almost respectful to Jigero, not daring to hide anything and telling him everything. After listening to this, C.I. Wulang thought about it seriously. Zenitsu owed a lot of money, but for Jigero, this amount was not a huge amount that would break his bones. Moreover, Jigero felt an inexplicable liking for this boy, even though Zenitsu was quite timid. After considering it, C.I. Wulang made the decision, all right. Agatsuma Zenitsu, I will pay off your debt for you. Zenitsu was overjoyed, really? Yes, during this period of time, you will be my servant and work hard on Doshin. As for the future, I need to observe and see if you are qualified to become my disciple. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Grandpa. Zenitsu was extremely moved, and prostrated himself before Jigero in gratitude, bowing again and again. Jigero nodded in satisfaction when he heard Zenitsu calling him Grandpa. Next to the stove, Horitake, who was about to fall asleep, raised his eyelids, glanced at Zenitsu, and thought, boy, it seems that you have no idea what it means to be a disciple of an old man. That is a hellish training. Then you won't be as happy as you are now. With such thoughts in mind, Horitake fell asleep. In the following period of time, Horitake resumed his previous peaceful life in Momoyama, training every day and further improving his strength. As for Agatsuma Zenitsu, this guy is very honest. He takes on various odd jobs and completes menial tasks every day. After a while, Jigero Kawashima liked Zenitsu more and more, and finally decided to officially accept Zenitsu as his apprentice. But at this time, Jigero was willing to accept a disciple, but Zenitsu was not willing to become his disciple. Because Zenitsu had watched Horitake's abnormal daily training, he was terrified by this horrific level of training. So when Jigero wanted to take him in as his apprentice, Zenitsu refused to do so. No. I don't want to be your disciple. I will die with this level of training. I will definitely die. This was Zenitsu's reaction at the time. Ci Wulang was so angry. I don't know how many people want to become my disciple, but they can't. Yet you despise becoming my disciple? Today, you have to worship this master whether you want to or not. On that day, Horitake, who was looking for trouble, caught Zenitsu who was about to escape, held down his head, and forced him to worship Jigoro as his master. Zenitsu was forced to become a disciple and was forced to train, which started his painful life. As for the following days, they are similar to the original book. Zenitsu tried to escape in various ways, but was caught by Jigoro in various ways, and then was trained in various ways, and lived in dire straits. What is different from the original work is that Horigaku did not mock and attack Zenitsu in various ways. Horigaku had a good attitude towards his junior fellow apprentice. Of course, those who need to be bullied must be bullied. With Zenitsu's personality, he always feels like he's at a disadvantage if he doesn't bully them. This bullying was not excessive, at most it was just a prank. Although it made Zenitsu defenseless, it did not cause any psychological harm to Zenitsu. After spending a long time together, Zenitsu developed a sense of kinship with Jigoro and Horitake. Zenitsu has always called Jigoro, the strict old man, grandpa. In his heart, he truly treats Jigoro as an elder, even though this grandpa sometimes trains him too harshly. Zenitsu has always called Horitake big brother and truly respected Horitake as his big brother in his heart, even though Horitake often teased him and made him look embarrassed. It is also worth mentioning that during this period, Horigaku did not practice alone. Under the guidance of Jigoro, he independently learned the breathing method in the full concentration. His strength has increased again. Time passed day by day, and after a month or two, the snow melted, the seasons changed, and the scenery on Doshin also changed. Finally, the most important thing for Horitake recently is about to happen. This thing is, the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. It was the final selection in the second year of Taisho, not the final selection 2 years later. It was not the same class as Tanjiro, but one class earlier than Tanjiro. After more than a year of training, 2 systematic mission rewards, and the constant breathing in the entire collection, Horitake's current strength is no longer what it used to be. His physique became stronger, his thunder breathing became more refined, and with all his strength, he was heading straight for the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps. With this kind of strength, it would be easy to pass the final selection. Unfortunately, there has been no movement in the system in the past 2 months. If Horigaku is given another task to complete, Horigaku guarantees that his strength can reach the pillar level. As if it had heard Horitake's wish, at the same time Horitake decided to participate in the final selection, the system spoke, ding. Agatsuma Zenitsu recognizes the host and identifies the host as a trusted and respected elder brother, disrupting fate and triggering the negative Kochuo effect, Kanroji Mitsurai's crisis. I fell. Hearing the voice of the system, Horitake, who had just finished training and was wiping his sweat, was so angry that he threw the towel to the ground. System, I think you need to explain what is going on? These things are totally unrelated. How can it trigger the Kochuo effect? Zenitsu recognized me and treated me as his elder brother. Isn't this a good thing? How can it disrupt my destiny? In the original work, because Kaigaku often ridiculed and attacked Zenitsu, Zenitsu did not recognize Kaigaku from the bottom of his heart and only regarded Kaigaku as a senior brother. The current situation is different from the original, so it disrupts fate. Damn it! Compared to this, I was the one who led Zenitsu to Momoyama. In the original novel, it was the stinky old man who led him to Momoyama. This incident is even more different from the original novel. How come it didn't disrupt fate? I can only say that the host had good luck last time, but bad luck this time. Horitake was choked and speechless. Okay, even if that's the case, Zenitsu and I have been in Momoyama, and Kanroji Mitsurai is somewhere unknown. We are not even remotely related, so how did the Kochuo effect affect her? The Kochuo effect involves causal space and time, which is elusive and unpredictable. The same excuse again, system. Forget it, forget it. Anyway, there are tasks to be done and rewards to be received. Tell me, what is this mission? What is the reward? And what is the situation with Kanroji Mitsurai? Chapter 12. Horitake remained silent, listening to the electronic sound of the system, ding. The system issues a task, please host solve the negative Kochuo effect, Kanroji Mitsurai's crisis. Kanroji Mitsurai will also participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps this time. According to the original plot, Kanroji Mitsurai passed the selection smoothly, but due to the influence of the negative Kochuo effect, Kanroji Mitsurai will encounter a major crisis in the final selection and may even die. Please host to participate in this final selection, protect Kanroji Mitsurai, and assist him in passing the final selection. Warm reminder, with beauty by your side, you can be a hero and save her. Why do you need any warm reminders? Rewards for successful mission, Thunder Breathing. Second form. Chidori, an advanced move, Thunder Breathing. Second form. Reikari. Mission failure penalty, Kanroji Mitsurai is seriously injured or even killed, his fate changes dramatically, and the Kochuo effect collapses further. The future is unpredictable. Looking at this mission, Horitake remained silent for a long time. The rewards for this mission are really generous, Chidori and Reikari, which are famous lightning-style ninjutsu in Naruto. Needless to say, Chidori is very famous. It is a special move often used by Sasuke and Kakashi. When it is used, lightning flashes like 1,000 birds singing, and its destructive power is extraordinary. Reikari is an advanced super ninjutsu that is achieved by transforming Chidori's chakra into a different form, further enhancing its power. Are you asking which is stronger, breathing techniques or ninjutsu? Kaigaku felt that ninjutsu might be more powerful. Now, the system has adapted Chidori and Reikari into breathing methods. The power of these two moves is absolutely considerable. Even if it wasn't for these two big moves, for Kanroji Mitsurai, Horitake decided to go and participate in the final selection. Having made up his mind, Horitake went to find Jigoro to explain the matter. What about the stinky old man? I don't know where Zenitsu went. Did Zenitsu dodge training again? Needless to say, the old man would definitely go catch him. Thinking of where Zenitsu might be hiding, Horitake walked over to Momoyama's side. Sure enough, Zenitsu was hiding there to avoid training, and Jigoro chased after him. When Horitake climbed to the top of the mountain, this is what he saw. Zenitsu climbed up a tree, hugged the trunk and cried and made a fuss, refusing to come down to train. The old man Jigoro stood under the tree, looking up at the disappointing Zenitsu, and was furious. Cheer up. There's no point in your behavior, Zenitsu, don't cry, don't run away, come down quickly and continue training. Zenitsu cried and refused in the tree. No. If I continue training like this, I think I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to die. How can you die at this level? Come down quickly, you idiot. Grandfather. Call me master. I like you very much, master. When I was in a desperate situation, you and my elder brother saved me. Well, you may have only wanted to train a swordsman. Even I want to respond to your and my brother's expectations. But I can't do it. I can't do it. I have also trained hard without telling you, but there is no result at all. I can't get stronger at all. What is going on? What should I do? Standing in the distance and watching this scene, Horitake was a little amused. Zenitsu, this kid, his personality is another matter, but he's a pretty nice guy. Hey? Wait, why did the situation suddenly change? Could it be? Horitake suddenly remembered something and calmly took a few steps back to lower his altitude. I might be about to witness a famous scene. Jigoro under the tree also became worried about Zenitsu. Calm down Zenitsu, trust me, master, you have talent. Zenitsu in the tree was still screaming in dismay, not noticing the dark clouds appearing in the sky above. Crack! A thunderbolt came down from nowhere and struck the tree on the mountain, or more precisely, Zenitsu. Poor Zenitsu was hit directly by the thunderbolt. Ah! Zenitsu screamed. Zenitsu. Jigoro was shocked. Poor Zenitsu fell from the tree, smoking, and Jigoro rushed over to check. Horitake, who was in the distance, stared at the dark clouds spreading in the sky, puzzled. It felt like this thunder was meant to strike Zenitsu. A layer of dark clouds appeared out of nowhere, and then disappeared after the thunder struck. It was really unscientific. Looking at Zenitsu who fell under the tree, his black hair turned into blonde hair. This is even more unscientific. Without thinking too much, Horitake walked forward and checked on Zenitsu's condition with Jigoro. The blonde Zenitsu was seen with some blackened skin, smoke coming out of his hair, his eyes were white, and he looked like he was neither dead nor alive. Stinky old man, is this kid okay? Well, it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's strange, why would he be struck by lightning out of nowhere? Hehe, maybe Zenitsu was just too stupid, and even God couldn't stand it, so he specially struck him with a beam of light. Zenitsu woke up from his miserable state, looked at his master and elder brother, and couldn't help but started crying again. Fortunately, Jigoro is good at giving people spiritual chicken soup, and this spiritual chicken soup helped Zenitsu cheer up a little. As the sun sets, Jigoro gives Zenitsu all kinds of comfort and encouragement. Horitake also scolded him impatiently, "Okay Zenitsu, be a man, what's the point of crying all day? The old man is old, and he should not only care about your training status, but also your mental state. Aren't you being a little sorry for him?" Zenitsu is more afraid of his older brother, Horitake, than Jigoro. Because even though Jigoro may scold him, Horitake will really beat him. Due to Horitake's power, threat, Zenitsu had to cheer up again. Seeing Jigoro still concerned about Zenitsu, Horitake interrupted him and talked about his own business. "Stinky old man, I have decided to participate in this final selection." Jigoro wasn't too surprised, but Zenitsu's reaction was a bit exaggerated. "What? Brother? The final selection that involves spending 7 days in a mountain full of ghosts? It's too dangerous, brother. Let's not do it, okay?" Horitake couldn't help but give Zenitsu a slap. "Shut up. Don't use your cowardice to judge me. Don't you know my strength?" Standing in front of Horitake, he looked up at his proudest disciple, who had grown much taller than himself. At this moment, C.I. Wulang's tone was a little bleak. "Horitake, you have to think carefully. You have only learned the first form of thunder breathing at the moment." Horitake couldn't help but roll his eyes. "That's because your breath of thunder, old man, is not suitable for me. I am determined to create my own breath of thunder. Although there is only one form at present, there are 9 styles in this form, which is enough. The strongest of them all, the Thunderbolt 365 Flash, you old man, can't even take it head on, so what are you worried about?" C.I. Wulang stroked his mustache and lost himself in memories. Before, after Horitake came back from Mt. Kujiri, he took the initiative to challenge Jigoro, and used all the Thunderbolt flashes from 1 to 365 on Jigoro. Jigoro could never have guessed that Horitake's strength would improve so much after this trip. At that time, C.I. Wulan was faced with an overwhelming attack and was caught off guard and became extremely embarrassed. Afterwards, Jigoro commented on this move, "No one below the pillar level can resist it. No one below 12 Kizuki can take it head on. This can be said to be a very high valuation." Thinking of this, C.I. Wulang asked again, "How's the full set of Chongzhong practice going? It's already very familiar." "Is that so? Then I agree to let you participate in the final selection." Chapter 13. The final selection was about to begin, and Horitake packed up and prepared to leave. Neither Horitake nor Jigoro is the type to be reluctant to part with someone, so when Horitake left, Jigoro behaved normally, smiling as he bid farewell to Horitake and encouraging him, "Smelly boy, perform well and kill a few more demons. Let those younger members of the Demon Slayer Corps open their eyes. Don't worry, old man. I won't bring shame to your reputation." However, Zenitsu next to Jigoro performed a bit badly. This guy was in tears, and he was very reluctant to leave. "Brother, Tangzishan is so dangerous, you must come back alive." Horitake's body froze. "Zenitsu, set a flag for me?" In TV dramas, once someone says they will come back alive, the person being blessed with this blessing usually doesn't come back. Furious, Horitake reached out and punched Zenitsu on the head, leaving a big bump, glaring at him and yelling, "A hole! Are you cursing me?" Zenitsu covered her big bump with tears streaming down her face. "Brother, I was just blessing you, why did you hit me? I can't bear such a blessing from you." Horitake turned to look at Jigoro. "Old man, please practice Zenitsu well during my absence." "Don't worry, I will." "No, Grandpa. No, brother. I will die. I will definitely die." Just like that, in the midst of a noisy atmosphere, Horitake left Momoyama. Horitake didn't know that after he left, Jigoro, who had always been calm, became worried. In the following days, this worry gradually turned into anxiety and irritability. After all, he is his own child. How could C.I. Wulang not worry? After several days of travel, Horitake arrived at the foot of Mt. Fujiira. There are trees of wisteria in full bloom here, with colorful purple petals and magnificent beauty. The purple sea of flowers surrounds the entire Tengzi mountain. Walking deep into the wisteria forest, Horitake saw the red torii gate, walked up the steps, and stopped on the blue stone platform in front of the Torii gate. In this open space made of blue stone, many swordsmen with swords stopped here and waited. They are all swordsmen participating in the final selection, and their goal is to join the Demon Slayer Corps. Horitake found a corner and leaned on the railing, saving his energy while watching these people coldly and silently. In order to observe clearly, Horitake even turned on his psychic vision, and used it to observe the chi and blood of these people to estimate the strength of this group of swordsmen. Generally, the overall strength is average. This is Horitake's evaluation of this group of swordsmen. The strength of these people varies. Not many can join the Demon Slayer Corps, and not many can survive the final selection either. While they were watching, a person with obviously more vigorous energy and blood than these people appeared. Horitake couldn't help but look over, and this person turned out to be a girl. A very cute and beautiful girl. This girl has a pair of big light leaf green eyes, rosy cheeks, a mole under each eye, and 3 long cherry pink braids with grass green tips. She is exactly Horitake's target this time, Kanroji Mitsurai. This girl looks weak, but she is actually very strong. Her muscle density is 8 times that of an ordinary person, and her defense and strength are much stronger than those of an ordinary man. At 1 year and 2 months old, Mitsurai could lift a 15 kg pickle stone with ease. Moreover, she has been a big eater since she was a child. Her original hair color was black, but she once ate 170 cherry cakes in 8 consecutive months, and as a result, her hair turned into a gradient color of cherry pink and grass green. It is also because of eating too much and having a special hair color that Meili has been rejected many times in blind dates and can never find someone she loves and that loves her. It is said that one of the main reasons why Mitsurai joined the Demon Slayer Corps was to find a good husband in the team who was stronger than herself and could protect her. Ahem, when it comes to this kind of thing, Horitake becomes excited. Who else but me can be a good husband who is stronger than Mitsurai and loves and protects Mitsurai? Iguro Obanai, I'm sorry, since I met Mitsurai first this time, I won't be polite. As he was thinking this, Kanroji Mitsurai, who had just arrived, began to observe the surrounding situation, especially this group of swordsmen. Horitake estimated that Mitsurai should be looking for a suitable partner now. After observing the group, Mitsurai couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. It seemed that these people were not as strong as herself. As she watched, Mitsurai finally noticed Horitake and their eyes met. So handsome. This was Mitsurai's first thought. So strong. This was Mitsurai's second thought. In the past 2 years, Horitake has also started to pay attention to his appearance and dressing. In addition, he has a good foundation, so if he dresses up a little, his appearance will be outstanding. So in Meili's opinion, this young man is handsome and strong, and is the perfect candidate for her ideal partner. Looking at Mitsurai, Horitake did not act too proactively, but just smiled and nodded. Unexpectedly, such an ordinary smile seemed to hit Mitsurai's heart. Mitsurai's cheeks turned slightly red and several hearts began to appear around her. After a brief exchange with Kanroji Mitsurai, Horitake did not take any other action and continued to wait quietly for the final selection to begin. Of course, some of his attention was also on Mitsurai. Since Horitake's mission was to protect Kanroji Mitsurai, why didn't he take the initiative to get to know Mitsurai? Wouldn't it be better to provide close protection? Horitake has his own ideas. The ghosts in Fujishiko Mountain are basically ordinary ghosts and not very threatening, except for Tianai. But even if it was that Tianai, Horitake estimated that he would not be a match for Mitsurai. So, where does Mitsurai's crisis come from? What will the negative Kocho effect cause? The current situation is that the enemy is in the dark and we are in the light. Without figuring out where the crisis comes from, Horitake does not intend to act rashly. He planned to enter Fujishiki Mountain and secretly follow Mitsurai to protect her so that he could be prepared for any eventuality. Everyone continued to wait in front of the torii. Until night fell, 2 small figures holding lanterns walked out of the torii and faced the crowd. These are a pair of lowly twins wearing kimonos. One of their hair is white and the other is black. Their eyes are slightly empty, giving people a weird feeling. The 2 girls stood in front of the torii holding lanterns and spoke calmly, one after another. Thank you all very much for gathering here tonight to participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. In this Fujisaki Mountain, there are many demons captured alive by demon slayers. They absolutely cannot leave here. Because from the foot to the middle of this mountain, wisteria flowers, which ghosts hate, bloom all year round. But from this point forward, there are no more wisteria flowers blooming, so there are many ghosts wandering around. Surviving on this mountain for 7 days is the requirement to pass the final selection. Well, I wish you all a safe journey. After saying that, the two Lolas bowed slightly to everyone. How to put it? Expressions, attitudes, manners, nothing is wrong, making people feel that these two girls must have been taught by a big family. Actually, that's true. These two children are from the Yubayashiki family. They are the Yubayashiki clan of Yubayashiki Kaguya, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. It is also worth mentioning that these two look like lowly twins, but they are actually a boy and a girl. The one with white hair is a girl, and the one with black hair is a boy. Horitake knew that the white-haired lowly was one of Yubayashiki Kaguya's daughters, and the black-haired one was Yubayashiki Kaguya's only son, Yubayashiki Kirya. As for why the Shota is dressed as a Lolita girl, it is because the boys in the Yubayashiki family are born with weak bodies and are raised as girls until they are 13 years old. Chapter 14. The final selection has begun. This group of swordsmen passed through the Red Torii Gate one after another and entered Fujishiko Mountain. Horitake remained unmoved and continued to wait. On the surface, he looked like he didn't care about anything, but in fact, he was always paying attention to Kenroji Mitsurai's situation. Kenroji Mitsurai did not hesitate and entered Fujishiko Mountain. Horitake followed Mitsurai's back and entered as well. Different from the magnificent wisteria forest outside, the forest on Tengzi Mountain is dense and the light is dim. In addition, there are many ghosts imprisoned inside, so it can be called a very dangerous place. When ordinary swordsmen entered Fujixi Mountain, they became nervous involuntarily. They moved cautiously and carefully observed the environment around them. You have to be careful. You are in such a dangerous place and you could lose your life if you are not careful. Mitsurai and Horitake were both skilled and courageous. After entering Mt. Fujiki, they did not hide or cover themselves, but walked openly in the mountain. This is a complete provocation to the ghosts hiding in the mountains. Nishiyuki. With a roar, a ferocious-looking ghost appeared on the tree and attacked Horitake, who was under the tree upside down. Horitake had a blank expression on his face. He drew his sword and swung it upwards. The ghost's body was separated into two parts. The body fell in front of Horitake and the head fell behind Horitake. It was really a case of dying before achieving any success. Ignoring this unwilling ghost, Horitake continued to move forward. He wanted to continue following Mitsurai's footsteps. Horitake activated his spiritual vision from time to time and watched Mitsurai's situation from afar, just in case. Well, Mitsurai also killed a ghost quickly and efficiently. She is worthy of being called a genius. After following from a distance for a while, at midnight, the atmosphere in Tengzi Mountain became even more ferocious. The hour of midnight is the time of the day when the light is the darkest and the yin energy is the heaviest. For species like ghosts, midnight is also the time when they are most rampant. After killing 2 ghosts in a row, Horitake also discovered some other situations. The ghosts in Tengzishan are basically ordinary ghosts. Occasionally there are some stronger ghosts, but they are not that strong. Unlike the ghosts outside, the ghosts here are extremely ferocious and can often exert 120% of their strength. Why is this happening? The final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps usually takes place every 2 or 3 years. This means that the ghosts in Tengzishan will have to starve for 2 to 3 years before they can eat for 7 days. My goodness! These starving ghosts finally see blood food. Even if the blood food may kill them back, they don't care about that anymore and just kill and eat as much as they can. Therefore, Horitake could often hear the howling and screaming of ghosts coming from afar. Every scream means the escape or death of a swordsman. Hearing these people's dying cries from afar, Horitake could only shake his head helplessly. There was no way, the distance was too far, there was no time, and it was not convenient for Horitake to leave. Kenroji Mitsurai was still ahead of him. If Horitake ran far away to rescue people and found that Mitsurai was already dead when he came back, it would be a big loss. However, if the distance is close, Horitake can rescue them. Hearing the sound of someone running away in front of him on the left, Horitake used his spiritual vision to confirm that Mitsurai in front of him was okay. He pulled out the Nichiren blades and flashed to the front left. Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderbolt flash. Boom. A flash of lightning passed by, and the ghost who was chasing the person was torn into pieces before he could react. By the time he came to his senses, his body had already dissipated. When the rescued people saw the handsome and powerful Horitake, they were filled with surprise and gratitude for surviving the disaster. Before he could say thank you, Horitake put away the Nichiren blades, and disappeared in a flash of lightning, just as the poem said, "Wave the Nichiren blades, and not a single leaf will be taken away." And so, the first night of the final selection passed. That night, Horitake did 3 main things: tracking, killing ghosts, and saving people. Kenroji Mitsurai was always within Horitake's spiritual vision range, and she herself did not realize that she was being followed. Horitake killed 7 ghosts tonight. I saved 2 people by the way. That's it. As the sun rises, the ghosts scatter. Horitake ate something casually and confirmed that Kenroji Mitsurai was also resting in the distance. He found a sunny spot and began to sleep to recover his energy. Before the sun sets, Horitake wakes up, eats something to replenish his energy, and waits for the arrival of tonight. This night was the same as the previous night. Horitake was still tracking, killing ghosts, and saving people. On the second night, the tracking went normally, 8 ghosts were killed, and 3 people were rescued. The third night, as above. The fourth night, the fifth night, the sixth night, it was all about the same. And so it was, during the day of the 7th day. There is only 1 day left for the final selection. As long as they can survive tonight, they will pass the selection by tomorrow morning. But unfortunately, there are not many people left in Tengzi Mountain now. Boss Ma said it very well, today is cruel, tomorrow is even crueler, and the day after tomorrow is beautiful, but most people die tomorrow night. This sentence is a true portrayal of the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. Cruelty or not has nothing to do with Horitake. The ghosts he encountered in the past few days did not pose any threat to him at all. It has nothing to do with Mitsurai. Although Mitsurai's current strength is not as good as Horigaku, it is not difficult for her to pass the selection. The only thing that made Horitake a little upset was that his patience was running out. We have been tracking and protecting Kenroji Mitsurai for 6 days, and today is the last day. There has never been any accident with Mitsurai, and everything is calm. There is no crisis as the system said. If the task was not still pending on the system, and if he had not checked with the system, Horigaku would have suspected that the system had made a mistake. The system responded, the mission is not yet complete, and the negative Kocho effect has not occurred. The system's decisiveness gave Horitake more patience. It looks like tonight, the final night, will reveal everything. Looking at the afternoon sun and confirming that there were still 2 hours until sunset, Horitake decided to take a nap. He lay on the grass, feeling sleepy and drowsy. Ah! Suddenly, Kenroji Mitsurai's scream came from a distance, and Horitake's sleepiness disappeared completely. Horitake suddenly opened his eyes, his heart skipped a beat, and he jumped up, strengthened by his breath of thunder, arcs of electricity flashing on his body, and he rushed to Mitsurai as fast as he could. At this moment, Horitake's heart was filled with regret. I was careless. I was careless. Who says crises only happen at night? Accidents can happen during the day, too. When Horitake was blaming himself, he rushed over there and saw the current situation of Kenroji Mitsurai. Mitsurai was under the shade of a tree. For some reason, the ground where she was standing turned into a dry swamp. Mitsurai was sinking continuously. Her legs had been submerged in the swamp, but she was still sinking. Mitsurai had taken some measures before. She was struggling desperately in panic, but the more she struggled, the faster she sank. Her pretty face turned pale and became more desperate. At this moment, Horitake was extremely grateful to Bear Grylls for his guidance in surviving in the wilderness. He quickly shouted to Mitsurai, Mitsurai! Don't struggle! The more you struggle, the faster you'll sink. Lie down on the swamp and increase the contact area between your body and the swamp. Mitsurai's face was very unhappy. When she saw someone coming, it was as if she saw hope for survival. She reached out her hand to Horitake. No, I can't do it. There's someone down there, someone's grabbing my feet and pulling me down. Horitake's heart suddenly sank. It is undoubtedly a ghost, and a ghost with special blood magic. I said how could he dare to cause trouble during the day, since there is no sunlight. Underground. Chapter 15. There is a ghost whose blood ghost magic is similar to this ghost. That was the first demon that Tanjiro faced after joining the Demon Slayer Corps, known as the Swamp Demon. The swamp ghost can sink into the ground and turn the underground into a space similar to water. Through this blood ghost magic, it can drag the girl into the ground and then eat her. However, this ghost's blood magic is somewhat different from the swamp ghost's. Horitake estimated that this demon's blood demon art was complete. It could move freely underground and make the land soft, forming a swamp-like situation. This kind of blood magic is obviously more powerful than the blood magic of the swamp ghost. If that's the case, we're in trouble. Tanjiro can sink into the underground space of the swamp ghost and kill it there. But Horitake, there is no way he can burrow into the ground alive and kill this ghost. Just think about it, this ghost can move freely underground and attack you from time to time, but you can't hit him at all because of the thick ground. How bad is that? This ghost might not be very powerful, but its blood ghost magic is really tough. Horitake determined the above information almost instantly and thought about how to deal with it. At this time, Mitsurai's waist was almost sinking. She was panicked and helpless. Her muscle density was 8 times that of an ordinary person and she was very strong, but this kind of blood magic was naturally counteracting her strength, and she couldn't use any strength at all in the swamp. Meili didn't dare to struggle anymore, even though the ghost hand on her ankle was still pulling her down, she didn't dare to struggle anymore. Now she could only hope in Horitake, hope that the person opposite could find a way to save her. Horitake was able to think of a solution in a hurry, which turned out to be a solution that was not really a solution. Since there are no ropes or anything like that around, we'll have to just force it. As long as the speed is fast enough, people can run on the water, let alone the soft swamp. So, what Horitake needs is speed. Fortunately, breathing of thunder is best at this. Horitake pulled out the Nichiren blades and used thunder breathing. Arcs of electricity flashed on his body and his body was like a taut bow. In an instant, he rushed towards Mitsurai at high speed. That speed is like the flash. All Meili could see was a figure with lightning flashing in front of her in an instant. Running in front of Mitsurai at a high speed, Horitake confirmed by the feel of the ground that was beneath his feet that it was no longer solid ground, but something like a soft swamp. Hold the knife and thrust it downward. The electric arc followed the Nichiren blades, went straight into the ground, and electrocuted the ghost below. We simply call this ghost the underground ghost. The underground ghost was in the dark underground. He was grabbing Mitsurai's ankles and dragging her down, but he was caught off guard and was electrocuted by the electricity from above. Ever since he acquired this blood ghost technique, the underground ghost has been invincible. He can even do things secretly during the day. But he never expected that there is electricity that can be introduced into the ground to shock him. He was trembling all over from the electric shock and involuntarily let go of his hands. This is exactly what Horitake had planned. Horitake was still running at top speed. He drew out his knife with his right hand, bent over, and wrapped his left arm around Mitsurai's upper body. He concentrated his chi into his danshin, united his waist and horse, and exerted force with his legs. Using his extremely fast speed and powerful strength, Horitake rushed forward and pulled Mitsurai out of the swamp at the same time. After pulling it out, Horitake held Mitsurai in his arms and continued to move forward. If they slowed down, both of them would fall into the swamp again. The moment he picked up Mitsurai, Horitake felt that she was soft and big. Of course, he was in no mood to feel these things now, because he had already run past the swamp and the ground under his feet was solid. The time is now. Horitake kicked his feet hard, leaped up into the tree holding Mitsurai in his arms, and the two of them stood side by side on the hard branches. Is Kanroji Mitsurai? She felt as if she was on a roller coaster. First she was overweight, then weightless. By the time she came to her senses, she had already emerged from the swamp of panic. When she reacted again, she was hugged by a strange broad chest and her feet were standing on tree branches. Saved by a stranger. What does it feel like? It was scary enough to encounter a ghost in broad daylight, especially a ghost that could create a swamp. I was dragged into the swamp by the ghost, and the ghost's hands below kept pulling me. The power that I was proud of was completely useless. This is simply the worst experience, the most desperate moment. Horror movies are just like this, right? At the critical moment, a hero descended from the sky and saved himself in an instant, pulling himself out of the abyss. Most importantly, Mitsurai looked at Horitake's profile. Most importantly, the hero who saved me was the same person as before. So cool. Kanroji Mitsurai feels like he is in love. This is definitely the feeling of being in love. Horitake didn't notice Mitsurai's current condition. He stood on the branch, looking at the land below. He opened his spiritual vision and vaguely saw the burrowing ghost underground through the ground. The underground ghost recovered from the paralysis caused by the electric shock and found that its prey had escaped. It was very upset underground. He didn't dare to come out of the ground to enjoy the sunshine, and finally left helplessly. Watching the burrowing ghost that sneaked away from here underground, Horitake confirmed that this ghost's blood ghost art was just as he thought, a very evil and troublesome burrowing art. Okay, it's okay, the ghost is gone. Turning off his spiritual vision, Horitake let go of Mitsurai and looked at her. Unexpectedly, Mitsurai didn't look scared at all. Instead, her cheeks were slightly red. She looked at Horitake infatuatedly, with a face full of emotion and shyness, and pink hearts appeared around her again. Horitake was helpless and said, "Girl, you have a big heart." Mitsurai also realized that her behavior was inappropriate, and said shyly, "Thank you for saving my life. I am so grateful for your kindness. I have no way to repay you." Horitake was stunned. "I have no way to repay you?" The next sentence is that I can only repay you in the next life? Or can I only repay you with my body? Unexpectedly, Mitsurai's words ended here, and she continued to introduce herself. My name is Kenroji Mitsurai, and I'm the stepson of the current flame pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. May I ask what your name is, benefactor?" Shy, expectant, "Oh, my name is Horitake, and I'm the disciple of Jigoro Kawashima, the former head of the Demon Slayer Corps. Also, don't call me benefactor, just call me by my name." "Yes, Lord Horitake." "What the hell is Lord Horitake?" "Forget it," Horitake was too lazy to correct him. He and Mitsurai sat side by side on the branch, looking down at the tree and talking to each other. Mitsurai has a lively personality, and is a little shy when it comes to the person she likes, but she still chatters and implicitly expresses her feelings to Horitake. "Lord Horitake, I thought I was doomed just now. I didn't expect you to come down from the sky and save me in an instant. I feel like you are a messenger sent by God to save me." The coolness behind Horitake girl, you guessed it right. The system is God, and I am his messenger. The system predicted that you would be in trouble, so it asked me to follow you secretly and protect you. When you are in trouble, I will be there at the first time. But even so, I was careless and almost let the burrowing ghost succeed. Of course, Horitake couldn't tell anyone about the existence of the system, so he could only divert Mitsurai's attention. "I just happened to be resting nearby, and when I heard the noise I came over to check, and that's how I saved you. I don't know whether you are unlucky or lucky. It is considered bad luck to encounter a ghost in broad daylight that can sneak underground and avoid sunlight. You are lucky that you met me and I can save you. If it were someone else, they really wouldn't be able to save you." Chapter 16. Kenroji Mitsurai was successfully distracted by Horitake, and she listened quietly to Horitake's explanation. "I am using the breath of thunder. Only the lightning released by the breath of thunder can be directed to the ground to attack the ghosts underground. Think about it, besides the breath of thunder, what other breath can attack underground?" Mitsurai was stunned. "After thinking about it carefully, I found that it was indeed true. Except for the breathing of thunder, other breathing methods could not attack the underground at all." After realizing this, Mitsurai felt a surge of fear and a cold sweat broke out on her head. Hori continued to explain and add, "Nothing is absolute. A pillar-level swordsman can cut the ground with his full strength, attack the demons underground, or save you. But, where can we find the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps in Fujisaki Mountain?" Meili was still frightened. Following this line of thought, it was indeed a blessing in disguise for Mitsurai to meet Horigaku who saved her, because there was no one else in the entire Fujiwara-yama who was capable of saving her. Seeing that Mitsurai was frightened, Horitake breathed a sigh of relief. "If this girl finds out that I've been following her, my favorability towards her will plummet. Now that Kenroji Mitsurai has been rescued, the mission should be accomplished, right?" Horitake woke up the system and checked the tasks. What surprised Horitake was that the task was still hanging on the system and showed as incomplete. "I've already saved Mitsurai, right? Could it be that Mitsurai must pass the final selection before this mission can be completed? Or, do we have to kill that ghost just now? Etc." Thinking of the underground ghost just now, Horitake felt a little uneasy. He always felt that something was overlooked, and this matter could cause a lot of trouble if he was not careful. Horitake sat on a branch, meditating. "Tanjiki? Tanjiki? Tanjiki? No. This ghost is wrong." Horitake muttered to himself, his face quite serious. The serious tone also alarmed Mitsurai, who was standing beside him. What's wrong, Lord Horitake? Mitsurai, there's something wrong with that burrowing ghost just now. Very wrong. What's wrong? The strength is not right. This burrowing ghost is quite powerful, plus his weird blood ghost technique. He shouldn't be in Tengzi Mountain. And he shouldn't be in the final selection. It is simply impossible for the swordsman participating in the selection to deal with such a ghost. He's much more troublesome than that Tianai. I suspect that he is not a ghost captured alive in Tengzi Mountain, he may be a ghost that came in from outside Tengzi Mountain. How is that possible? Mitsurai subconsciously retorted, the foot of Tengzi Mountain is full of wisteria flowers. How could this ghost break through the wisteria flowers and enter? At this point, Mitsurai's eyes widened. Li also discovered this blind spot and this loophole. This ghost can burrow underground. He can sneak underground, which means he can avoid the wisteria flowers on the ground and enter and exit Tengzi Mountain at will. Horitake began to speculate along this line of thought, and the more he speculated, the more frightened he became. The underground ghost can enter and exit Tengzi Mountain at will by burrowing underground, which means that he is most likely a ghost outside the mountain. Then what is he doing in Tengzishan? Eat people. For ghosts, eating a strong swordsman will definitely increase their strength more than eating an ordinary person. If we continue to let him eat, when he grows up to be 12 Kizuki, coupled with his weird blood demon arts and his ability to move around underground during the day. The more Mitsurai thought about it, the more frightened she became. By then, there will be no one left to save this ghost. Li stood up quickly, very anxiously. This ghost is too harmful, and must be completely eliminated before it grows up. I must report this to the Demon Slayer Corps. Damn it! The final selection is in progress and I can't contact the Flame Pillar. What should I do? Should I give up this selection and leave Tengzi Mountain to report? Mitsurai was at a loss for a moment. Just when she decided to give up the final selection, Horitake stood up, reminded and comforted Mitsurai, you don't have to give up this final selection, and you don't have to leave Fujikiyama. I have a way to tell the Demon Slayer Corps about this. What is the solution? Mitsurai, have you forgotten? There are twins at the Torii Gate at the foot of the mountain. They are the two hosting the final selection this time. Li suddenly realized, that's right. Since they can host the final selection, they should also be members of the Demon Slayer Corps. Not only that. Horitake revealed to Mitsurai mysteriously, the twins are not only members of the Demon Slayer Corps, they are also the daughter and son of Yubayashiki Kaguya, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. What? The Lord's children? No, they are clearly two girls. How can they be the Lord's daughter and son? No, the one with white hair is a girl, and the one with black hair is a boy. That's true. This is the tradition of the Yubayashiki family. Because the boys in their family are born weak, they are raised as girls until they are 13 years old. Mitsurai was so surprised that she didn't know what to say. But Horitake continued to expose the truth, and even diverted Mitsurai's thoughts. How is it? Isn't that little guy cute? He doesn't look out of place in women's clothing at all, and you can't tell he's a boy at all. Based on the current appearance of this little guy, Mitsurai, you can guess what the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps looked like when he was a child. Yubayashiki Kaguya must have looked a lot like his son when he was a child. Same beauty, same kimono, same women's clothing, same lipstick, same dress. Ah! Horitake, stop talking. Mitsurai blushed, covered her head and shook her head, her pink braids flying on both sides. Don't destroy the image of the Lord in my mind. Ah! But how can one control something like thoughts? The result was that the image of the elegant and peaceful Lord in Mitsurai's mind completely collapsed. Horitake looked at the confused Mitsurai with a wicked smile. Don't get me wrong, Horitake doesn't have any special hobbies in shota or cross-dressing, he just couldn't help but want to tease Yubayashiki Kaguya, and by the way, he wanted to tease Mitsurai. As expected, Mitsurai's reaction was so adorable. Horitake stood up, stood on a branch and looked at the setting sun, his attitude became serious. Okay, let's get back to the point. The news about the underground ghost must be passed on to the Demon Slayer Corps in a timely manner. I will go down the mountain and go to the Torii to tell the siblings about this. Mitsurai also became serious. I'll go with you. Horitake looked at Mitsurai with a blank expression, and suddenly said, are you sure you want to go with me? Are you sure you don't want to go to see the young master of the Lord? Are you sure you don't want to guess what the Lord looked like when he was a child through this young master? Ah! Dirt! Horitake! Mitsurai's face turned red again, steam came out of her head, and she kept scolding Horitake. Okay, I was wrong. I'll go down the mountain right now. Mitsurai, if you want to come with me, come on. Just in case, let's walk on the trees instead of on the ground. After saying that, Horitake quickly leaped between branches. Li was embarrassed and annoyed for a moment, and hurriedly followed, mumbling, really? I didn't go there for that kind of thing. The two of them quickly went down the mountain, and at the moment the sun set, they arrived at the Torii platform in the wisteria forest. Under the Torii, the Yubashiki brother and sister, wearing the same kimono and outfit, are lighting the lanterns in their hands. They saw Horitake and Mitsurai coming down the mountain, and a misunderstanding occurred. You two, tonight is the last night of the final selection. If you leave the mountain at this time, it is equivalent to withdrawing from the final selection. Are you sure you want to withdraw? Horitake shook his head and told the Yubashiki siblings the story of the burrowing ghost. Chapter 17. Horitake told the Yubashiki siblings about the situation of the burrowing ghost and its dangers. The two children could no longer maintain their calm expressions. Upon hearing such a terrible situation, they inevitably became a little panicked. At this time, the difference between the brother and sister emerged. The elder sister Yubashiki Hinamiya was a little flustered. What should we do? Kiriya, with such a ghost in Fujixe Mountain, should we stop the final selection? His younger brother, Yubashiki Kiriya, showed a calmness and decisiveness that was not in line with his age. Although the little guy was also panicking, he quickly calmed down and made a quick judgment. No, we can't stop the final selection. There is only one night left. Stopping now would be irresponsible to everyone and might also alert this escaping ghost. Then how do we deal with this burrowing ghost? He hides underground, we can't find him, and we can't deal with him. We must report the situation here to our lord. Please send a pillar-level swordsman to Fujixe Mountain. I'm afraid only a pillar can deal with this kind of ghost. Okay, I'll pass on the message right away. Yubashiki Hinamiya quickly went to instruct Crow to go to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters to deliver the message. On the side, Horitake watched this scene and nodded secretly in his heart. As expected of a child from the Yubashiki clan, he is different from ordinary children. Especially the little guy Yubashiki Kiriya. Although he is very young, he is very wise and can make decisions quickly. He is worthy of being the one who can lead the Demon Slayer Corps and command the entire Infinite City decisive battle in the future. Having such a young master does make people feel at ease. Horitake admired Yubashiki Kiriya very much, and Mitsurai next to him admired him even more. So handsome. So cute. Although the young master is young, he is very capable. Well, I also want to have such a sensible brother, or have such a child in the future. Also, the young master looks even cuter now that he is dressed like a girl. The young master looks so cute in a kimono. I guess the Lord was like this when he was a child. Ah. No. My thoughts are twisted. Please become normal, Kanroji Mitsurai. Mitsurai's mind went astray again and she couldn't help but blushing. She turned around, leaned against the pillar of the Torii gate, and began to reflect on herself. Yubashiki Kiriya had no idea what this older sister was thinking, so he asked Horitake curiously, is this sister okay? Her? It's okay, just let her calm down for a while. On the other hand, Yubashiki Hina is back, I have already released the crows, and the Lord will receive the news soon. It is estimated that a pillar-level swordsman will arrive as early as tomorrow morning. Before that, please be careful and guard against it. Horitake smiled cheerfully, be on guard? No, on the contrary, I will take the initiative. As he spoke, Horitake drew out his Nichiren blades, eager to try. My eyes and my breathing method are good at defeating underground ghosts. In order to eat people, the underground ghosts probably won't leave Tengzi Mountain tonight. Tonight, I plan to search Tengzi Mountain on a large scale, find the underground ghost, and kill him. The Yubashiki siblings looked at each other. Horitake called Mitsurai over there, Miri, I'm going to catch a burrowing ghost tonight, do you want to come with me? Want? Then let's go. Target, the burrowing ghost. The two of them rushed into Tengzi Mountain again, one after the other, moving quickly on tree branches with a murderous look on their faces. A few hours later, Horitake and Mitsurai had searched most of Fujiki Mountain, but unfortunately there was no trace of the burrowing ghost. The two landed on a thick branch. Horitake looked around, a little distressed. I thought the underground ghost would come out at night, but I didn't expect it to be hiding underground. This is the first time I've seen such a sneaky ghost. Mitsurai next to her raised a question, Master Horitake, don't you have some kind of psychic vision? Why don't you use it to search all the time? After spending some time together, Mitsurai also knew the special abilities of Horitake's eyes. Horitake was so upset when he heard this. Please, although the psychic vision is useful, it cannot be turned on all the time. It is too exhausting. If I use it for several hours in a row, I will feel dizzy and unable to wake up. Oh, that's it. Sitting on a tree branch, Horitake folded his arms and thought rapidly, this ghost is too secretive. How can we deal with him if he doesn't come out? What to do? The only solution Horitake could think of was to use bait to set a trap and lure out the burrowing ghost. Who should be the bait? Horitake looked at Kenroji Mitsurai next to him. No, Horitake would not allow this girl to be in danger, not only because this girl was his mission target, but also because this girl was quite to Horitake's liking. How to fish out the burrowing ghost without bait? We can only use the stupid method and continue the large-scale search. Helplessly, after a short rest, Horitake and Mitsurai conducted another large-scale search. A few hours later, the two searched Fujikiyama again. I didn't find the burrowing ghost, but I did meet the TNI. A green and fat body with countless arms waving around and two strong arms wrapped around his neck to protect it. It was this TNI who killed Sabato and Makomo. When Horitake and Mitsurai met TNI was chasing another swordsman who was passing by. The passerby was terrified and fled in panic. How could this happen? It's too much for a demon of this level to appear in the final selection. Behind him, TNI stretched out his two hands and grabbed the passerby swordsman. Mitsurai rushed out, pulled out the Nikarin blades, cut off both of TNI's arms with one blow, protected the passerby swordsman behind her, and confronted TNI heroically. TNI healed quickly and grew two arms again in an instant. He looked at Mitsurai who suddenly appeared, grinning and saying in a disgusting tone, "Hey, here comes another one, and she's a cute little girl. She must be delicious, right?" Mitsurai didn't say anything and started fighting with TNI. For a moment, countless arms and swords intertwined, constantly colliding and intertwining, and the battle situation was somewhat stalemate. Horitake, who was in the tree nearby, was not worried at all. Although TNI is disgusting, he is no match for Mitsurai. What he was thinking about was whether to let TNI go and wait until 2 years later, and let Tanjiro deal with him personally. By then, it would be a perfect ending and he would have made the best use of his resources. Oh, that's not right. This idea is wrong. Horitake reacted, hit himself on the head, and reflected on himself, why should we let TNI go? How many people has TNI harmed over the years? If he continues to let him go, how many more people will he harm? We can't let this evil go unchecked just to let Tanjiro complete his mission. Horitake drew his sword and stood up, thunder breathing. First form. 24 thunderbolt flashes. Electric arcs flashed, lightning roared, and Horitake suddenly appeared. His attack was so fierce that TNI was completely unable to resist. In an instant, all of TNI's arms were cut off, and blood spurted into the air. Looking at the flashing figure in the sky, TNI was terrified. How is this possible? How could such a terrifying person appear in this final selection? No. I have to run. It's too late. Horitake stepped forward and stabbed TNI fiercely with another blow, beheading him on the spot. The fat ghost collapsed to the ground and began to gradually dissipate. TNI's head was still roaring unwillingly, but unfortunately it couldn't change his ending. Unexpectedly, at this time, Horitake's psychic vision was activated, and he actually saw TNI's revolving lantern before his death through his psychic vision. What Horitake didn't expect was that a new task would appear in the system right after that. Chapter 18. In the darkness, a boy huddled in fear, tears streaming down his face. I'm so scared, I'm all alone. Brother, where are you? Hold my hand, just like usual. Why did I bite my brother to death? In the dark fog, a long-lost ray of light shines in. The boy turned his head and saw the glowing figure that seemed to be his brother's back. He chased after it with anticipation and fear. As he ran and got closer to the light, his ghost body transformed into human form again. Finally, the boy caught up with his brother who was holding the lantern. Brother! 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 Please hold my hand. The elder brother turned around and faced his younger brother tenderly. I really can't do anything about you. You are always so timid. The elder brother held his younger brother's hand again, and the two brothers continued to move forward together, holding the bright lanterns. What lies ahead? Is it their long-lost warm home? Or? But it doesn't matter. The elder brother has never blamed his younger brother. As long as they are together, no matter what lies ahead, they can walk hand in hand. This is Tianai's revolving lantern before his death. When he was very young, he became a ghost due to an accident. He went crazy and bit his brother to death. He has lost himself to this day. After watching the revolving lantern, Horitake's spiritual vision automatically closed. He felt melancholy and muttered to himself, it's a tragedy. His situation is pitiful, but his crime is unforgivable. No matter how pitiful you were before, you still have to lose your head. This is one of the reasons why Horitake likes Demon Slayer. Thousands of miles apart, on the Gorge Mist Mountain, two lonely souls in the forest, Sabato and Makomo, felt something. Makomo asks Sabato, is Tianai dead? Sabato's smile was relieved and cheerful, yes, he's dead. He must have been killed by Tanjiro's friend. Really, I owe him a big favor. Is that so? Then, are we leaving? No, let's stay with Master Urokodake for a while. Didn't Horitake-kun ask us to take care of Tanjiro? We can just return the favor. Let's wait until Tanjiro officially joins the Demon Slayer Corps, then we can leave. Makomo smiled happily, yet. I also want to see how far Tanjiro can go. In the vine-covered mountain, Horitake put away his melancholy and sheathed his sword. Mitsurai, who was standing by, sensed that Horitake was in a bad mood and asked with concern, what's wrong, Lord Horitake? It's nothing, just think of it as me, just being sentimental. Then, the system's sudden prompt sound destroyed the atmosphere, ding. The host killed Tianai, disrupted fate and triggered the negative Kochuo effect, the sudden attack of the burrowing ghost. Oh my god! System, are you going to cause trouble again? Ding! The system issues a task, please host to solve the negative Kochuo effect and the sudden attack of the burrowing ghost. In this final selection, the underground ghost devoured several swordsmen in succession, and its strength increased further. The growth of strength made the underground ghost more ambitious. He planned to find a suitable opportunity to eat up all the remaining people in Tengzi Mountain. Host, please stop the burrowing ghost's raid, protect more people, and kill as many burrowing ghosts as possible. Warm reminder, the underground ghost intends to catch you all in one fell swoop. Whenever you gather together, the underground ghost will launch a surprise attack. Reward for successful mission, Yasuo's full set of swordsmanship. Mission failure penalty, everyone in Tengzi Mountain will be devoured by the underground ghosts, and the host may not be able to escape this disaster. Horitake didn't know what to say for a moment. The previous task has not been completed yet, and a new task has come. It turns out that the system's tasks can be stacked. But this new mission is a little dangerous. It seems that the underground ghost has become stronger and doesn't plan to hide any longer. It's a bad thing that the enemy is getting stronger, but he's no longer cowardly, which is a good thing, because it means Horitake can seize the opportunity to kill him. This enemy shouldn't be that easy to deal with, but as long as you are careful, it won't be difficult to complete the mission. In addition, the system's friendly reminders are also very important. The burrowing ghost wants to catch us all in one fell swoop when we gather together. So, when will these people on Tengzi Mountain gather together? Of course, it is after dawn, when the final selection is over. At that time, everyone who is still alive on Mount Fuji will go down the mountain and head to the Torii platform to choose Tamagotchi. It is estimated that the underground ghost will choose to take action at that time. Even if the sun had already risen by then, even if there were wisteria flowers all around, as long as the burrowing ghost could sneak underground, it would not be afraid of anything. He only needs to create a large swamp that can easily swallow up everyone. Once people fall into the underground, they are basically at the mercy of the enemy. This is Horitake's speculation. Of course, it's just a guess, but just in case, Horitake will not be careless until the last moment. He said to Mitsurai seriously, Mitsurai, keep going, keep searching. Yes. The two of them jumped onto the dense trees and began to patrol the entire Tengzi Mountain again. Maybe the burrowing ghost really wanted to catch them all in one final blow, and Horitake and Mitsurai could not find any clues. Finally, the morning arrived, the sun came out, and the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps was over. Everyone who was still alive in Fujishiroyama breathed a sigh of relief. They walked down the mountain in the sunshine and rushed to the Torii platform. Only Horitake remained 100% alert. Soon, everyone arrived at the Torii platform. Horikako looked around and found that there were 7 or 8 people who passed the final selection this time. Except for himself and Mitsurai, the remaining swordsmen were all people he had saved. In other words, if I hadn't saved the person, the only ones who would have passed the final selection would be me and Mitsurai? What a cruel selection! When Horitake appeared, the other people obviously recognized their savior. They were very surprised and came over to thank him, calling him their benefactor. My benefactor! My great benefactor! If you hadn't rescued me in time, I would have died in the mountains. Yes, if it weren't for you, my benefactor, how could I have passed the final selection? I will always remember your life-saving grace. Brother, were you also saved by this gentleman? Yeah? You too. Faced with the numerous thanks, Horitake politely accepted their gratitude. Mitsurai, who was standing next to him, was watching this scene in fascination. Her admiration for Horigaku was beyond words, and her favorability towards Horigaku once again skyrocketed. It turns out that Lord Horitake not only saved me, but also saved so many people. Kind and powerful, so handsome. I like it. At this time, Yubayashiki Hina and Yubayashiki Kiriya, brother and sister, also appeared. The siblings appeared under the torii, still expressionless and speaking in the same calm tone. Congratulations to everyone who successfully passed the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. It's great to see that everyone is safe. Just as the siblings finished speaking, the system spoke in Horitake's mind, ding. Confirmed that the host and Kenroji Mitsurai have passed the final selection. The host has successfully resolved the negative Kochuo effect, completed the mission, and obtained the mission reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Thunder Breathing, second form, Chidori, and the advanced move, Thunder Breathing, second form, Reikari. Ding! Friendly reminder, the host's strength has been further enhanced, and he will definitely be able to fight against the next underground ghost. I wish the host good luck. Chapter 19. After receiving the system's reward, Horitake instantly learned the thunder-breathing versions of Chidori and Reikari. Because the use of these two moves requires higher physical fitness, the system also strengthened Horitake's physical fitness. As a result, Horitake's strength increased significantly. Through self-estimation, Horitake felt that his strength had reached the level of a pillar. Congratulations, congratulations! Facing the burrowing ghost that will appear next, Horitake is more confident. He calmly opened his spiritual vision and glanced down. Sure enough, under the layers of bluestone slabs, there was a lurking ghost, waiting for an opportunity, ready to catch them all in one fell swoop. Horitake had a blank expression on his face and calmly grabbed Mitsurai's hand. Mitsurai was startled. Is this happening too fast? Horitake's calm words interrupted Mitsurai's wandering thoughts. Miri, do you believe me? I believe you, Lord Horitake. That's good, Mitsurai. You know, my eyes can see things that ordinary people can't see. Although Kenroji Mitsurai is a bit love-minded, his IQ is not low. After hearing Horitake's words, he immediately understood what he meant. Master Horitake, what do you mean? It's just as you thought. Later, take care of yourself first, and help others if you are able. I see. Except for these two people, no one else knew that there was danger lurking under their feet, and the Yubayashiki siblings didn't know either. The two of them continued the process of the Demon Slayer Corps. First, we will prepare uniforms for you. After measuring your sizes, we will embroider your rank on your uniforms. There are 10 levels in total, namely Ji, Yi, Bing, Ding, Wu, Ji, Geng, Xin, Ren, and Gui. Now you all belong to the lowest level, Gui level. Also, today we will let you choose the steel for casting Nichiren blades, but it will take another 10 to 15 days until the blades are cast. Until then. Yubayashiki Kiriya clapped his hands, and several crows flew out from the surroundings, crowed, and landed on the shoulders of Horitake and others. Yubayashiki Hina introduces, this is a special messenger crow arranged for you all, called a The crows are mainly used for communication and to convey the orders of the Demon Slayer Corps. After saying this, the Yubashiki siblings walked to the sides, showing the table behind them, and lifted the cloth covering the table, revealing ore steel blocks of varying sizes. Then these are the jade steels. Please select the steel for forging the sword from them. The steel used to slay ghosts and protect yourselves should be selected by you. Everyone was eager to try and wanted to go over and choose the jade steel. However, no one took action, but instead looked at Horitake, who was standing in the front. The meaning is very clear, please let Horitake choose first. Horitake took the lead and walked over holding Mitsurai's hand. With his spiritual vision turned on, he could see the quality of the steel with just a glance. As expected, the steel used to forge Nichiren blades is of good quality. Horitake chose for Mitsurai first. He helped Mitsurai pick up a medium-sized steel block. Mitsurai, this is one of the best quality ones. Mitsurai took the steel block. Horitake-sama, what about you? Horitake picked up a piece of Tamagani's steel on his right-hand side and looked at the ore with interest. If I'm not mistaken, this piece of jade steel must have been struck by lightning. Maybe it will be especially suitable for me. After Horitake and Mitsurai finished their selection, several other people gathered around and began to choose Tamagans with great interest. Horitake stood aside with Mitsurai in his arms, seemingly indifferent, but in fact, his attention was all on the people below. Damn, this underground ghost really knows how to hide. Even at this time, he can still resist the urge to alert the enemy. Is he really going to suddenly attack at the last moment, when people are most relaxed? Well, I have plenty of time, let's take our time. Just like that, everyone finished their selection, and the Yubashiki siblings also wrote down the Tamagan that everyone chose. Finally, the Yubashiki siblings bowed slightly to everyone under the Torii gate. Then, after your swords are successfully forged, they will be delivered to your residence by the relevant swordsmiths. Congratulations again to everyone who made it to the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. Ghost, people are leaving, why don't you take action? Sure enough. He couldn't help it. Horitake's expression immediately became serious, and he shouted loudly, "Don't move yet, there is danger under our feet." Everyone was startled by Horitake's sudden warning. Although they were not sure what had happened, because of the prestige that Kaigaku had established, these people actually stood there without moving, waiting for Hori's next instructions in a daze. The Yubashiki siblings immediately guessed what had happened, and their faces changed. Yubashiki Kirya asked anxiously, "Mr. Horitake, is he down there?" Horitake nodded, "He's underground. Luckily he can't break through so many layers of bluestone slabs, and he doesn't dare to come out, so we..." Before Horitake could finish his words, the ground began to rumble. The amplitude of the vibration was quite large, and people on the platform could not stand steadily. Mitsurai gritted her teeth and tried to stand firm. "Earthquake. No. It's not an earthquake." Kaigaku quickly denied this guess, using his psychic vision to broaden his vision and observe the surrounding situation. This is a large-scale landslide. It seems that the burrowing demon has eaten enough people, and its strength has reached the level of the lower rank of 12 Kizuki. He used blood magic underground, causing the land within a radius of dozens of meters to become soft and causing a large-scale vortex-shaped sinkhole. The originally calm and solid ground seemed to have turned into a turbulent whirlpool in the sea. Crackling, the surging vortex of earth and rocks began to destroy the bluestone platform. The platform could not bear it and began to break down into pieces of bluestone slabs and collapsed into the ground. The swordsmen here are all newbies. They have never seen such a dangerous scene before. They stagger around in panic, wanting to escape but not knowing where to go. All I could hear were panicked shouts. What's going on? What happened? Did the ground collapse? Why did the ground collapse here? If we continue like this, we will be buried alive. Let's think of a solution. It's better not to expect them to find a solution. At the critical moment, it was Kaigaku who came up with a solution. Don't panic. Before the stone slab sinks, everyone should quickly step on the stone slab and climb up the tree. Don't fall down. If you fall down, you will die. Following the instructions, everyone stepped on the few remaining bluestone slabs, ran to the edge of the sinkhole in a panic, and climbed up the wisteria tree. I breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that the trees were stable. Among them, the most vulnerable are the Yubashiki siblings. Although these two children are smart, they are physically weak. After the crisis, both children lost their balance and fell onto the stone slabs. Faced with the whirlpool of mud surging around them, the brother and sister were helpless and seemed to be able to only wait for death. Fortunately, Horitake did not forget about them. After making sure that everyone else was safe, he pulled the two children by the back of their collars, breathed a thunder breath, and flashed to the wisteria tree next to them. Stand on the tree and look down at the ground. Below, the original bluestone platform had completely disappeared, and the bluestone slabs had collapsed into the soil. The few remaining slabs followed the surging vortex of soil and swirled into the center of the vortex. Watching this scene, the Yubashiki siblings were still terrified. Chapter 20. Horitake picked up the Yubashiki siblings and placed them on a nearby branch. Hold on to the branch next to you, sit tight, and don't fall down. The two children could no longer remain calm and became as obedient as quails, just listening to whatever Horitake said. After calming down a bit, Yubashiki Kirya thanked Horitake. Thank you, Mr. Horitake, for saving us. Horitake waved his hand, not really caring, it's just a small favor. Looking at the rolling earth below, Yubashiki Hinamai looked a little unhappy. Mr. Horitake, could this be caused by the burrowing ghost? That's right. This guy is making such a big move just to catch us all in one fell swoop. Yubashiki Hina is worried and anxious. Although the news has been passed back to the Demon Slayer Corps, the support from the team will not arrive so quickly. We must hold out for a while until the pillar arrives. At that time, before she could finish her words, a new round of changes occurred in the ground below. I saw that the vortex-shaped sinkhole with a radius of dozens of meters began to move and started moving towards the place where everyone was hiding. Soon, the sinkhole affected the several wisteria trees where they were. The swirling mud began to crackle and break the roots of the wisteria trees, causing the trees to shake and become unstable. The Yubashiki siblings panicked, and so did the other people in the other trees. This is to kill them all. Horitake calmly directed everyone, don't panic. Spread out and don't gather together. Move to other trees. The ground is not sinking that fast. Everyone, be careful and don't fall down. With Horitake in command, everyone felt like they had a backbone. Following Horitake's orders, 7 or 8 people dispersed to the surroundings, climbed different wisteria trees, and stayed away from the sinkhole. Mitsurai. Kaigaku called Mitsurai over. Master Horitake, what is it? Horitake handed the Yubashiki siblings over to Mitsurai. I'll leave the two children to you. Take them away from here and jump onto another tree. Mitsurai took over the Yubashiki siblings and asked Horitake with concern, what about you, Lord Horitake? Me. Horitake excitedly pulled out his Nichiren blades. I'm going to meet this underground ghost. If possible, kill him here and don't let him live any longer. The vortex-shaped sinkhole has spread here, and the tree roots below are constantly cracking. This wisteria tree is already very unstable. Mitsurai held the two children in her arms, trying to keep her balance while looking at Horitake worriedly. Horitake gave him a reassuring look. Nodding, Mitsurai made a decision, be careful, Lord Horitake. After saying that, Mitsurai hugged the two children, jumped off the tree and moved to another tree. They stood on the wisteria tree and looked at Horitake worriedly. Not only Mitsurai and Yubashiki, but everyone else around them was looking at Kaigaku nervously, waiting for his next move. Finally, the wisteria tree couldn't hold on anymore and collapsed. The whole tree, with its branches and trunk, fell to the rolling ground. However, because the tree was too huge, the surging sinkhole could not swallow the tree for a while, and the tree was stuck in the soil. Horitake on the tree was still standing steadily, but he was standing on a fallen tree trunk. Looking at the vast expanse of surging mud in front of him, Horitake snorted coldly, humph. You're playing tricks. Thunder breathing, second form, Chidori. Horitake raises the Nichiren blades and activates Breath of Thunder. Bright purple lightning wrapped around Horitake, with Nichiren blades as the center. The lightning flowed along Horitake's arms and gathered on Nichiren blades. When the lightning on the Nichiren blades accumulates to a certain level, the Nichiren blades shine brightly, like 1,000 birds singing. The people around were stunned when they saw this shocking scene. Horitake saw the location of the burrowing ghost through his psychic vision. He was in the deepest and center of the mud vortex. Standing on the tree trunk, Horitake waved the Chidori on the Nichiren blades and stabbed it hard in the direction of the burrowing demon. The chirping birds screamed. With bright purple lightning, they broke through the layers of soil and struck down. Everyone vaguely heard a scream coming from underground and saw a flash of light underground. The surging mud stopped, the swirling sinkhole stagnated, and the ground became calm again. Mitsurai, who was watching this scene from a distance, speculated quietly, "Is it over? There is no end." They couldn't see it, but Horitake could see it clearly through his spiritual vision. The power of Chidori was indeed great. It pierced and exploded half of the burrowing ghost's body with one blow. Unfortunately, it did not hit the burrowing ghost's head because of the obstruction of the soil. After receiving such a severe blow, the burrowing ghost sank into the ground and quickly healed and regenerated. Horitake stood on the tree trunk with a knife in his hand. He turned around and looked in another direction with a serious expression. Boom, the ground shook again. Everyone around was watching the situation here nervously. This time, it wasn't a sinkhole that appeared. This time, it was... Bang! A huge arm made of compressed soil emerged from the soil and climbed onto the ground. Next, another arm emerged from the mud, followed by the head, upper torso, waist, lower torso, and 2 legs. Finally, a rock and soil giant more than 10 meters high, made entirely of compressed mud and rocks, appeared in front of everyone. Looking at this rock and earth giant, Mitsurai's face turned pale. The people around were in even worse condition. Faced with this terrifying rock and earth giant, they were almost scared to death, and some even nearly fell under the tree. You can't blame them for being timid, as they have never encountered such a big scene before. Unlike the others who were terrified, Horitake smiled as he looked at the rock giant that was more than 10 meters tall. He. If you keep hiding down there and don't come out, I won't have any good solutions. But now that you've come out, can I still let you go? Through clairvoyance, Horitake clearly saw the location of the burrowing ghost. He is hiding inside the rock giant, where he can avoid the sunlight and control the entire rock giant. Looking at Horitake standing on the tree trunk, the rock giant roared like a beast, raised his legs, and stomped towards Horitake. Horitake calmly activated the breathing of thunder and dodged the situation with arcs of electricity on his body. Boom! The rock giant missed his step and broke the tree in half. The rock and soil giant turned around and saw that Horitake was standing on the collapsed torii gate without him knowing when. He seemed to be angry, and rushed over with a roar, swinging his huge fist at Horitake. Horitake used the same trick again, dodged, and the next moment, he actually landed on the shoulder of the rock giant. The rock and soil giant stood up and slapped his shoulder with his hand, but Horitake dodged in time. After doing this many times, the people watching the game around started to understand. This rock giant's strength is indeed terrifying, but his speed and flexibility are poor, so he can't hit Horitake at all. This way, Melee and the others felt much more at ease. Of course, hiding like this is not Horitake's style. Following a burst of electric arcs, Horitake stood on a wisteria tree in the distance, looking at the rock giant from afar, keeping a certain distance from him. The rock and soil giant was also very happy about this. He put his hands into the soil and began to control, rub and compress the soil, instantly compressing it into a rock and soil ball with a diameter of 3 or 4 meters. Just like throwing a shot put, the rock giant threw the rock ball at Horitake. A huge, hard rock ball came crashing down on him. Horitake remained unmoved, thunder breathing, second form, Chidori. The Chidori flashing with purple lightning appeared again on Horitake's Nichiren blades. Horitake swung the Chidori and smashed the incoming rock and soil ball with one blow. Chapter 21. The rock giant continued to knead out a few more rock balls, and blasted them at Horitake one after another like cannonballs. Horitake stood still, and the Chidori on the Nichiren blade smashed and blocked all incoming attacks. The attack didn't work, and the rock giant got angry. To be more precise, the burrowing ghost inside the rock giant got angry. This BD stole my prey yesterday and now he is trying to hinder me. He has ruined my own plans again and again. It is really unforgivable. The rock and earth giant roared towards the sky and began to attack fiercely. The roar sounded like that of a wild beast and could be heard from far away. A few kilometers away, a 2.2 meter tall blind monk heard the roar from afar and felt uneasy. Amitabha. Listening to this sound, it seems to be coming from the direction of Fujishi Mountain. It is clearly daytime. Could it be? Oh no, I have to speed up. The blind monk took big strides and accelerated towards Tengzi Mountain. On the Fujishi Mountain battlefield, the mad rock giant bent down and thrust his arms into the ground. The underground ghost used the ground to activate his blood ghost technique, rock and earth python. The ground began to roll and surge restlessly once again, and this time the rolling was more violent than any previous time. Amid the rumbling and shaking, 8 giant rock pythons compressed from the soil rose up from the soil. These giant rock pythons, which were more than 20 meters long, opened their mouths wide and attacked Horitake from all directions. Everyone watching the fight from a distance was stunned. Meili was very anxious. The Yubashiki siblings were also extremely nervous. Horitake stood on the wisteria tree, his heart as calm as an ancient well. With his spiritual vision activated, he could see the dynamic trajectories of the 8 giant rock pythons. It seems like there is nowhere to escape, but in fact, there is plenty of room for escape. The Chidori on the Nichiren blades is still flashing, the arcs on the legs are closely connected, and Horitake uses thunder breathing to start super high-speed movement. First, he used Chidori to defeat the 2 rock pythons in front, then he leaped to avoid the attack from behind, bent down and rotated, and used Chidori to cut off the upper and lower rock pythons, and then Horitake stepped on the head of another rock python. The head of the rock python is very strong and solid. With his feet having a foothold, Horitake pushed forward with all his strength, crushing the giant rock python under his feet at the same time. Horitake's body was flashing with arcs of electricity, and he moved forward at a high speed. As lightning flashed, the Nichiren blades were swung by 1,000 birds, defeating 2 more giant rock pythons on their way forward. At this point, Horitake was less than 15 meters away from the main body of the rock giant. Within these 15 meters, there were only the remaining 2 rock pythons standing in his way. At this moment, the burrowing ghost inside the rock and earth giant felt an extreme sense of crisis, a sense of crisis that was fatal enough to make his scalp tingle. No. I might die. With this idea in mind, the underground ghost quickly retreated and defended. The 2 giant rock pythons quickly shrank and coiled in front of him for defense, and the rock giant crossed his arms in front of him for blocking. The burrowing ghost who made these precautions had already thought of the following actions: the guy opposite is too evil. As long as I survive this attack, he will immediately burrow into the ground and run away, and will not come out no matter what. From now on I will hide underground, eat people like crazy, and become stronger like crazy until I become the upper rank of 12 Kizuki. By then, I will definitely seek revenge on this guy. Where is Horitake? He still maintained the momentum of charging forward, thousands of birds chirping on the Nichiren blades, and his eyes were open with spiritual vision, allowing him to see clearly the defensive measures of the underground ghost. Well, if you only rely on Chidori, you really can't kill with one blow. In that case. Thunder breathing, second form, Reikari. The screaming Chidori fell silent, and the constantly flashing purple electric light also converged into the Nichiren blades. Under the blessing of the breath of thunder, the Nichiren blades has completely transformed into a lightning blade emitting purple arcs of electricity. If Chidori is a sharp sword with exposed edges, then Reikari is a restrained and implicit sword. Its sharpness and lethality cannot be compared with Chidori. Horitake carried the purple lightning blade and easily pierced through the 2 rock pythons and came in front of the rock giant. The psychic vision could see clearly that the head of the burrowing ghost was inside the chest of the rock and earth giant. Reikari. A purple lightning blade flashed past, and Horitake's figure flashed with lightning, crossing and passing by. The rock giant was cut smoothly into 2 parts, the upper part fell off and the lower part collapsed. The cross-section was even cut by lightning at an extremely high temperature and burned into lava. The instigator, the underground ghost, was also thrown out from the rock and earth giant, and his body was already separated when he was thrown out. At this moment, the burrowing ghost head flying in the air saw the rising Sunday. It's the sun. What a beautiful light, such a warm light. It feels like my mother. Mumbling its last words, the burrowing ghost's body fell to the ground and turned into ashes. Horitake fell to the ground, and the purple lightning on his body dissipated. The next second, his spiritual vision was activated, and he saw the revolving lantern of the underground ghost before his death. Father, why? Why do you do this? Why bury me alive? Is it just because I have smallpox? I was born in a wealthy family. My father was the head of the family, and my mother was a maid in the family. That's right, she was a maid, not even a concubine. I cannot change my birth, but at least I hope to grow up healthy, but this is impossible to achieve. When I was 13 years old, I got smallpox. My father, no, that man was afraid of being infected, so he asked his servants to bury me alive. My mother looked like a madman and tried desperately to save me, but she was knocked unconscious and taken away by them. Yes, I was buried alive, halfway up the mountain. There was mud all over my body, and there was mud in my mouth and nose. I couldn't breathe, it was so uncomfortable. I thought I was going to die, but who knew that man saved me and gave me his blood. I turned into a ghost and gained powerful powers. I want revenge, revenge on that man. Revenge on that man's entire family. I succeeded. I ate all of that man's family of more than 20 people. Ha 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 ha. I ate all of them. Except my mother. When I finished eating them and checked to see if there were any that had escaped, I discovered, my mother had hanged herself in the innermost cell. Oh my God! Why do you treat me like this? I was buried alive and I am most afraid of the soil. But the blood vampire art I awakened is to burrow underground. This is really ironic. In the darkness, the ghost body of the underground ghost gradually retreated and returned to his young human form. There was an even darker place ahead, but the boy stepped in without hesitation. People like me will definitely go to hell after we die, right? Is this hell ahead? Well, this is exactly where I'm going. Mother, I know you are waiting for me on the other side, but my sins are too heavy and I can't go through it. Please don't come with me. You are such a kind person and you shouldn't share the same sin with me. Let me bear everything alone from now on. If there is a chance, we will be mother and son again in the next life. The revolving lantern ends and the spiritual vision turns off automatically. Horitake closed his eyes, sheathed his sword, and fell silent for a while. After a while, he sighed, "You are really unworthy of being a father. You are worse than a beast. Another poor ghost." Of course, his situation is pitiable, but his crime is unforgivable. In hell, do your best to atone for your sins. Horitake is an adult. Mitsurai rushed over, and because she was too happy, she threw herself on Horitake's back and hugged him from behind. You can kill such a powerful ghost. You are really amazing. Feeling the girl's figure, smelling her fragrance, and listening to her heartfelt praise, Horitake's mood couldn't help but improve. Chapter 22. Seeing Horitake defeat the enemy so easily, Kanroji Mitsurai couldn't help himself. When she came to her senses, she realized that she was a little too enthusiastic, so she got off Horitake's back angrily, stood beside Horitake, and looked at him infatuatedly. Horitake didn't think it was a big deal, or rather, the feeling just now was pretty good. At this time, the system's voice sounded in Horitake's mind again, ding. Confirmed that everyone present has safely passed the crisis without any casualties. Confirmed that the underground ghost has been killed. The host has successfully resolved the negative Kochuo effect, completed the mission, and obtained the mission reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the full set of swordsmanship of Yasuo, the swift swordsman. Ding! Friendly reminder, the host has more methods, remember to thank the system me. A few black lines appeared on Horitake's head. This damn system can be a bit weird sometimes, but I am really grateful for it. Feeling this completely familiar set of Gale sword techniques, as well as my own enhanced physique, well, I should just be a little grateful to the system. At this time, the Yubayashiki siblings and others walked over on the messy ground, taking one step deep and one step shallow. They gathered around Horitake, their gratitude beyond words. These people were excited and thanked Horitake solemnly. Master Horitake, you saved us again. Yes, thanks to you, sir. I didn't expect Lord Horitake to be so powerful that he could kill such a terrifying demon. I guess Lord Horitake is now qualified to become a pillar. Among them, the gratitude of the Yubayashiki siblings was the most sincere, and their etiquette was the most standard. We, my sister and I, are very grateful to Mr. Horitake for saving our lives. As everyone was expressing their gratitude to Horitake, a voice as heavy as a rock sounded from behind Horitake, "Young man, I never thought that a genius like you would appear in the final selection. You were able to kill such a dangerous ghost and completely cleared the ghost's sins." Amitabha. Horitake turned his head and saw a 2.2 meter tall blind monk who appeared behind him for some reason. Although this blind monk has a gentle and calm temperament, the vague sense of oppression from him makes it impossible to ignore his presence. This person is none other than the rock pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, Himejima Kyume. It turned out to be this person. A little cold sweat appeared on Horitake's forehead. As expected of the strongest pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, when did he appear behind me? I didn't even notice it. It's true that there are always people who are better than you. As a result, Horitake immediately suppressed his complacency and became cautious again. Yubayashiki siblings introduce to you, this is Master Hime-jima Kyume, the rock pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. He is very powerful and is a support sent by the Demon Slayer Corps, but... At this point, the Yubayashiki siblings felt a little embarrassed. As soon as Xingming arrived, the culprit had already been dealt with, so it felt like Xingming's trip was completely in vain. Xingming put his hands together and chanted the Buddha's name in a low voice, Amitabha, it is worth my trip to meet the young elites of my Demon Slayer Corps. This monk can really talk. Horitake developed a great liking for this blind monk and took the initiative to talk to Xingming. Senior Xingming, I am Horitake, a disciple of the former sound pillar Kawahime Jigoro. I have long heard of your great name. So you are Mr. Kwangdao's disciple? No wonder your thunder breathing is so exquisite, but... Senior Xingming, if you have anything to say, please speak up. Xingming hesitated for a moment, and finally asked his doubts, although I cannot see, I can hear everything in all directions and understand the situation of the battle. I already have some understanding of the strength you just displayed, Horitake. I also know something about thunder breathing, but as far as I know, the move you just used is not a traditional thunder breathing move. Your move is more powerful and stronger. Following Xingming's question, the curiosity of others was aroused and they all looked at Horitake. Horitake smiled cheerfully, what I used was definitely not the traditional breath of thunder. I have always believed that only what suits you is the best. What I am using now is the breath of thunder which I created after improving it. I can't say whether it's more powerful than the traditional thunder breathing, but it's definitely more suitable for me. After hearing this, everyone looked at Horitake with admiration. It's true that comparison makes one angry. It's so hard for me to kill a small ghost, but others can not only kill big ghosts, but also improve their breathing method. Is this the world of geniuses? I'm so scared. You've actually created your own breathing method. Xingming murmured in praise, you're indeed a young genius. Horitake expressed his modesty and pulled Mitsurai over to help him disperse the fire. No, Senior Xingming, you are too kind. I have only improved the breathing of thunder. I am not a genius. The Miss Kanroji Mitsurai next to me is the real genius. She created her own unique breath of love based on the breath of flame. Everyone looked at Mi Li in surprise. Mi Li said modestly and generously, No, it's not my own creation. It's just a derivative of the breath of flame. Besides, my strength is far inferior to Lord Horitake's. Lord Horitake even saved me yesterday. Xingming looked at Mitsurai, is he Kyojuro's stepson? I see. He's also a genius. Amitabha, I seem to have seen 2 future pillars, and the strength of the Demon Slayer Corps will be further enhanced. In this way, Horitake talked with Xingming for a while and also recounted to Xingming what had happened before. But since the underground ghost has been killed, there is no need to elaborate on it. Moreover, no one was killed in this battle, so everyone was happy. As they left one after another, Horitake was about to say goodbye to them. At this moment, a crow flew over from a distance, stood on a branch, and shouted the command it had conveyed, Horitake. Horitake. Kanroji Mitsurai. Kanroji Mitsurai. Please come to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The Lord wants you. The Lord wants you. What? Yubayashiki Kaguya wants to see me? Horitake was a little surprised. He thought that he could only meet the master after he became a pillar, but he didn't expect to meet him right after joining the Demon Slayer Corps. However, it seemed like it would be nice to meet this boss whom I have known for a long time. Hearing that her lord wanted to see her, Mitsurai was also a little excited. Xingming held the rosary and said to Horitake and Mitsurai, since the lord wants to see you, why don't you come back with me to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters? Okay. Horitake nodded. They thought they were going to walk to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, but when they got off MT Fujishiro, they saw 2 carriages waiting for them at the foot of the mountain. The Yubayashiki siblings stepped out of the first carriage and said respectfully to Horitake and the other 2, everyone, there is no need to hurry. Please get on the carriage and go with us to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. These 2 kids are really good at handling things. Nowadays, although Neon has passed the Meiji restoration and trains and cars can be seen, that kind of transportation is still not popular. The most widely used means of transportation is still the horse-drawn carriage. Looking at the second carriage which was obviously much larger than the first one, Horitake looked at Xingming's tall body and was slightly speechless. Well, needless to say, they knew that the second carriage was prepared for them. There was no need to refuse the kindness of the Yubayashiki siblings, and the three of them got on the carriage. Looking at the exquisite decorations inside the carriage, Horitake sighed in his heart that the Yubayashiki family was indeed a wealthy family that could support the entire Demon Slayer Corps. And so, they headed to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Chapter 23. The Demon Slayer Corps headquarters is located between mountains and is extremely hidden. It is said that Kibutsuji Muzan spent 1,000 years searching for it but still failed to find the location of the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Come to think of it, for the entire Demon Slayer Corps, the headquarters is as important as the brain. How can it not be secretive and cautious? Logically speaking, Horitake and his team should have taken certain confidentiality measures when traveling to such an important place, but they didn't. The carriage carrying several people drove into the mountains, twisting and turning between the mountains and ravines. On the way, the carriage was constantly stopped and inspected at secret checkpoints of the Demon Slayer Corps. Horitake thought at the time, just check it, as long as it is not too excessive, it doesn't matter if it is checked, after all, as long as he is upright, he has nothing to fear. Unexpectedly, as soon as the Yubayashiki siblings showed up in the carriage in front, this checkpoint inspection was waived. The two carriages drove into the mountains almost unimpeded. Another point is that there is no cover around the carriage and Horitake and the others can see the road through the window. What does that mean? This means that as long as someone has a good memory, they can remember the way to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. This was Horitake's first visit to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Horitake was still a new member of the Demon Slayer Corps. Why were they so open with him? Why did they trust him so much? It is not known whether this was decided by the Yubayashiki siblings or by Yubayashiki Kaguya, but no matter who it was, Horitake felt greatly respected and trusted. To be honest, this feeling is very good, a feeling of dying for one's confidant. No wonder the Yubayashiki clan was able to lead the Demon Slayer Corps for thousands of years. No wonder such a weak person like Yubayashiki Kaguya was able to subdue a group of elite soldiers. Such means and such courage are not simple. If Yubayashiki Kaguya was a Chinese, if Horitake was an ordinary person without the arrogance of a time traveler, it is possible that Horitake would be ready to bow down in worship. Even so, Horitake developed a great liking for Yubayashiki Kaguya, whom he had never met. By the way, Mitsurai, who was beside Horitake, was becoming more and more excited because of this respect and trust. The two carriages continued on a mountain road and arrived at the legendary Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The Demon Slayer Corps headquarters is by no means a simple house. It is composed of many buildings and departments, a place similar to a mountain town. The two carriages headed straight to the headquarters, Yubayashiki Kaguya's residence. There is the brain and heart of the entire Demon Slayer Corps. After getting off the carriage, Mitsurai was surprised at the elegance and sophistication of the residence and the building in front of her. Horitake was well informed and was not that surprised. Led by the Yubayashiki siblings, Horitake, Chiome, and Mitsurai entered. They were placed in an area covered with white pebbles, which was also the place where the Hashiram meeting was held. Afterwards, the Yubayashiki siblings entered the house to invite Yubayashiki Kaguya. Horitake and the other two were waiting here quietly. Soon, a frail man, supported by the Yubayashiki siblings, came out of the house and stood on the porch. This man has a handsome face and a gentle temperament, but unfortunately he has a large area of disfigurement on his forehead, which is somewhat scary and regrettable. Yubayashiki Kaguya stood in the corridor, looking at Horitake and the other two with a friendly smile. Finally meeting you, my new kid. His voice and the rhythm of his movements make people feel happy. This is an ability that only people who can motivate the masses possess. Horitake sighed in his heart, he is indeed a natural-born leader. Xingming was the first to kneel on one knee in front of Kaguya, salute and call him Lord. Mitsurai was a little excited and a little flustered, but she finally reacted, knelt on one knee and saluted, calling him Lord. What about Horitake? Is he going to do the same? Of course not. Next, he did something that no one expected. Horitake stood up straight, clasped his hands together, and bowed to Yubayashiki Kaguya in an extremely solemn manner. Horitake, greetings to the master. Good. Ancient Chinese etiquette, the salute with hands folded. It's not about clasping fists, but bowing. Unlike kneeling, which represents submission, the bowing gesture represents solemnity and respect. This gift also represents Horitake's attitude towards Yubayashiki Kaguya. I respect you because you are the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, because you have outstanding charisma, are kind-hearted, care about your subordinates, lead the entire Demon Slayer Corps, are wise and brave, and are a perfect leader. I am willing to be led by you, but I will not respect you as my master. Everyone present was shocked by Horitake's salute. Although Xingming couldn't see, he was very surprised when he heard Horitake's actions. At this time, although Yubayashiki Kaguya's face was severely disfigured and the curse had worsened, he was not yet terminally ill. Now, one of his eyes was still intact. Kaguya was very surprised to see Horagaku bowing to him. It was the first time that Kaguya encountered this kind of etiquette, and she could clearly feel the profound meaning contained in this bowing gesture. Yubayashiki Kaguya was well informed and recognized that this etiquette came from the suzerain country across the sea. Horitake's greeting made the usually peaceful Kaguya a little flustered. With the help of his two children, he quickly bowed in return. "You're welcome, Horitake." After the two of them bowed to each other, Mitsurai and Xingming also stood up. Kaguya couldn't help but be curious about Horitake. "Horitake, you." Next, it was time for Horitake to talk nonsense. This nonsense also needs to be well-founded and convincing. Fortunately, Horitake had already prepared a draft in his mind. "To be honest with you, I am indeed an orphan, but I still remember what it was like when I was very young, and I still remember who my parents were. My mother is from Japan, and my father is a Chinese who came to Japan to seek refuge. So, I still remember the etiquette and knowledge that my father taught me when I was young." Kaguya chose to believe what Horitake said. Neon is relatively isolated, and ordinary people definitely don't know what Chinese etiquette is like. Horitake's bow is solemn and dignified, and it is obvious at first glance that it is not something he imitated from hearsay. Kaguya treats people with warmth and kindness. It turns out that Horitake is a person from the suzerain country. How disrespectful! The Lord's words are too serious. In this way, Horitake and Kaguya officially met each other. Because of this little twist, both parties also confirmed that their relationship was a subordinate relationship, not a master-servant relationship. To put it bluntly, it is the relationship between boss and employee, not the relationship between lord and subject. In fact, strictly speaking, the relationship between the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps and Kaguya is not a master-servant relationship. Compared to other members of the Demon Slayer Corps, the relationship between Horitake and Kaguya is more equal. After the two sides got to know each other, they sat opposite each other in the corridor and officially started the conversation. Kaguya was the first to express his gratitude to Horitake. "I didn't expect that such a big change would happen in the final selection this time. If it weren't for your timely rescue, Horitake, my two children would have been in trouble. Thank you very much." Horitake smiled cheerfully. "The underground ghost wants to catch us all in one fell swoop, so I will certainly not sit there and wait for death. If the two little guys are in danger, I will certainly not stand idly by. I heard from my two children that this underground ghost that appeared this time is very unusual." Speaking of business, Horitake also became serious. Yes, this ghost's strength was not weak to begin with, and after eating enough people in Tengzi Mountain, it became even stronger. Moreover, the most difficult and troublesome thing is his blood magic. It can sneak underground and between soil layers, making it hard to guard against. Because there is no sunlight underground, burrowing ghosts can also move during the day. When the blood vampire magic is activated, the ground and soil can be controlled over a large area, causing small-scale landslide disasters. It can even compress soil to form rock giants and rock pythons. Chapter 24. After listening to Horitake's story, Yubayashiki Kaguya also frowned. "I see. This incident also taught us, the Demon Slayer Corps, a lesson. Ghosts are afraid of sunlight, but that doesn't mean they won't move around during the day." Horitake nodded in agreement. "Yes, if some ghost blood and ghost arts are special, as long as they are well prepared and cover up the sunlight, they can act during the day, just like this burrowing ghost. However, we don't have to be too scared, as this special kind of blood magic is probably very rare. If there are more blood demon arts like this, some demons will definitely reveal their identities during the day. By that time, our Demon Slayer Corps will have already noticed it. We need to be vigilant, but not overly concerned." Horitake's words made everyone nod their heads, and Kaguya praised Horitake. "It's also thanks to you, Horitake, that you killed this burrowing demon in time. If you let it escape, or let it continue to run rampant, it will sooner or later grow to the level of 12 Kizuki upper rank. Even Kibutsuji Muzan may have acquired this ability to burrow underground. That would cause great harm. Horitake was modest about this. No, Senior Xingming had already arrived at Tengzi Mountain. Even if I wasn't there, with Senior Xingming's strength, he would definitely be able to kill the underground ghost easily. Xingming on the side clasped his hands and said, if the underground ghost comes out, everything will be fine. If he stays underground, there's nothing I can do. Only the lightning emitted by your lightning breathing, Horitake, can penetrate underground and attack the burrowing demons. There is almost no other way. Thanks to you, Horitake, the lightning breathing that you improved and created is very powerful. After hearing this, Kaguya's eyes lit up. Horitake, have you also improved the breathing of thunder? No, I just created my own breath of thunder based on the traditional breath of thunder. This time, before Horitake could ask Mitsurai to share the firepower, Kaguya took the initiative to find Mitsurai and praise her. And you, Kenroji Mitsurai, I heard from the flame pillar that you created the breath of love from the breath of flame, is that right? Li was somewhat touched. I didn't expect that the Lord has also heard of me. I did create the breathing of love, but this breathing method is not yet very mature, and my strength is not that strong. It's okay. Everyone needs to grow up, right? Kaguya encouraged Mitsurai kindly. Horitake, Mitsurai, I believe that you two will be able to become pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps in the future and kill more and stronger demons. It's great to see you two young geniuses. I seem to have seen the end of Kibutsuji Muzan. Maybe the disaster of cannibal ghosts can end in our generation. Kaguya's confidence inspired Horitake and the other two, and their spirits lifted. Li immediately expressed her opinion, yes. My lord, I will become a pillar as soon as possible and kill more and stronger demons for the Demon Slayer Corps. Xingming put his palms together and chanted the Buddha's name, I hope the sins of the evil spirits will be completely ended in our generation, Amitabha. Horitake smiled mysteriously, perhaps, the Lord's premonition is true, and Kibutsuji Muzan is really about to perish. Horitake's idea was simple, Kibutsuji Muzan would not last for more than a few years. If the plot requires Kibutsuji Muzan to die, he must die. There may be a Kochuo effect that affects the plot, but I am still here, and my job is to control the Kochuo effect. With Tanjiro as the protagonist and himself as a time traveler, Kibutsuji Muzan has no choice but to die. Kaguya's senses were very sharp, and he heard an unquestionable power in Horitake's words, oh? Horitake seems very confident. Why are you so sure? Horitake Kaguya, as far as I know, the clan of the Lord seems to have some ability to predict the future. Coincidentally. Horikaku pointed to his eyes and said mysteriously, my eyes can also see things that ordinary people can't see. Something that ordinary people can't see. Yes, for example. I can see souls, tell if a person is healthy, have a vague perspective, and even, see the past, present, and future. Everyone was shocked. Of course Horitake was bragging. How could his clairvoyance allow him to see the past and the future? Because he knew the plot of the original novel, he needed to cover his foresight with a veil, so he just happened to use his clairvoyance to conceal it. Kaguya was a little excited and asked quickly, Horitake, can you really see the future? Horitake shook his head, Master, how can it be so exaggerated? I can only see a small part of the future. If I really knew the past and the future, the ghost would have been destroyed by me long ago. That's true. Kaguya calmed down a lot. I have seen the past, and through observing the past, I have learned a lot of information. For example, I have seen that Koku's-Hibu, the first of the 12 Kizuki, has 6 eyes. Kaguya nodded, confirming Horitake's statement, that's right. Our family's confidential information once recorded that Koku's-Hibu does have more than 2 eyes. I also saw that Doma, the upper rank 2, was so handsome that he didn't look like a demon at all, and he seemed to be the leader of a certain force. Yes. This is also included in the information of the Demon Slayer Corps. I've also seen that upper rank 3 Akaza has honed his martial arts for hundreds of years and has incredible combat power. Kaguya nodded repeatedly, confirming that what Horitake said was correct. He asked anxiously, Horitake, what about the future? What kind of future do you see? Did we defeat Kibutsuji Muzan? Horitake groaned for a while, but did not give a direct answer, my lord, I did see some of the future, but I can't tell you. Why? The future is the future because of its uncertainty. If I tell it now, the future I see will no longer be the real future. My destiny will change. Kaguya was very experienced and immediately understood what Horitake meant and calmed down. I see. Sorry, Horitake, I was anxious. Horitake couldn't bear to let Kaguya continue to worry, so he could only reveal a little, my lord, do not be too anxious or worried. Everything has its destiny. What is supposed to happen will eventually happen, and what is supposed to end will eventually end. I just hope that when the Lord recovers and sees the demise of Kibutsuji Muzan with his own eyes, he will not fall before dawn. Kaguya was stunned, and everyone was stunned. Kaguya was still relatively calm, after all, he had some premonitions, but the others present could not remain calm. What does Horitake mean by this? Could it be that the Lord will? Xingming wanted to ask, but thinking of what Horitake just said, he held back and didn't ask. He just kept chanting the Buddha's name in his heart and praying for Kaguya. Mi Li also wanted to ask, but because of the atmosphere here, she didn't dare to speak out. After thinking about it, Kaguya smiled with relief, is that so? As long as the dawn comes, what does my own life matter? Moreover, due to the curse of Kibutsuji Muzan, I myself cannot live past the age of 30, so I am willing to sacrifice myself if I can contribute to the elimination of Kibutsuji Muzan. Xingming couldn't help it, and 2 lines of tears flowed from his blind eyes. My lord, please don't say such things. The atmosphere was a little heavy for a moment. Horitake's heart also grew heavy. Could it be that the curse of the Yubayashiki clan could not be resolved? Could he just watch his boss become terminally ill and there was no cure? He turned on his psychic vision and looked at it. Kaguya. Chapter 25. Horitake uses his psychic vision to observe Yubayashiki Kaguya's physical condition. Clairvoyance can tell whether a person's chi and blood are vigorous, and thus determine the person's life and health status. After checking, Horitake discovered that Kaguya's body was so weak that it was not enough to describe his deficiency of chi and blood. His constitution was so frail that his vital health was not good. If a person's health is likened to a candle, Kaguya's situation, although not as severe as a candle in the wind, is not much better than it. Let's just say that Kaguya's life flame is very small, so small that a gust of wind could extinguish his life flame. In other words, if Kaguya takes good care of his body, there will be no problem, but if he overworks or has a minor illness, Kaguya may die. My physical condition is really bad. What caused such a weak physical condition? Horitake continued to observe carefully using his spiritual vision. Perhaps Horigaku was staring at Kaguya too seriously, and Mitsurai next to him felt that Horigaku's actions were a bit rude, so she pulled Horigaku's sleeve and whispered to him, Master Horitake, this is so rude. Horitake kept his expression unchanged, continued to observe, and explained, No, I am using my spiritual vision to observe the physical condition of the master, hoping to find a way to treat the master. Is there any way? Mitsurai asked. Horitake, if you can really cure the Lord, the entire Demon Slayer Corps will be grateful to you. Xingming said excitedly. The two were very excited, but Kaguya acted calm. This isn't an illness. It's a curse on our Yubayashiki clan, a curse that has been unsolved for thousands of years. Horitake looked into Kaguya's eyes, a little hesitant. It seems, it is indeed a curse, a terrible curse. Through spiritual vision, Horitake saw a thick black aura between Kaguya's eyebrows. It was this black energy that was constantly draining Kaguya's vitality and torturing his body. Suddenly, Horitake thought of something. Thunder is the most yang and positive thing in the world, and it is extremely restraining to this kind of evil and gloom. Can the thunder and lightning released by my thunder breathing eliminate this black air? Horitake did not dare to act rashly, so he called out the system in his mind and asked it. Dog system, come out quickly. Tell me, can my idea succeed? The system was awakened by Horitake and analyzed. Ding, it is detected that the host's idea is feasible to a certain extent. So it can be successful. Host, don't get excited. I'm just saying that it is feasible. If the host really does it recklessly, the only result will be to electrocute Yubayashiki Kaguya to death. Dog system. Don't beat around the bush, just tell me why this doesn't work. What should I do to make it work? With the host's current strength, if he uses lightning to eliminate the black energy in Yubayashiki Kaguya's body without authorization, he may not be able to eliminate the black energy. If he fails, he may electrocute Yubayashiki Kaguya to death instead. There are 2 reasons. First, Yubayashiki Kaguya's current physical condition is too weak to withstand your lightning stimulation. Second, the host's current control is not enough. While dissipating the black energy, it will inevitably harm Yubayashiki Kaguya's body. Then what should I do? Further enhance the strength, making the host's own lightning power even stronger. Strengthen control and make lightning as easy as pie. Yubayashiki Kaguya cannot be too weak. If the host can do the above three things, there is still a good chance of solving the curse for Yubayashiki Kaguya. Please note that this only solves the curse of Yubayashiki Kaguya. The curse of their family cannot be cut off. If you want to completely eradicate this curse, you can only kill the source of evil, Kibutsuji Muzan. I see. After communicating with the system, Horitake looked at the expectant eyes of Yuki and Mitsurai, the pleading eyes of Yubayashiki Hina and Yubayashiki Kirya, and the relieved attitude of Kaguya, and smiled bitterly, "I'm sorry, Lord, but I can't solve this curse yet." Everyone was not surprised but delighted, and Yubayashiki Kirya even raised his voice somewhat impolitely, "If it's not possible now, does that mean it will be possible in the future?" Kaguya glanced at Kirya indifferently, and Kirya immediately became as obedient as a quail and shrank back obediently. Horitake laughed and said, "That's right. Just because it's not possible now doesn't mean it won't be possible in the future. Once I become stronger, I will be able to remove the curse from the master." Hearing this, even Kaguya, who was always calm, couldn't help but breathe faster. "Can you really do this?" Horitake replied solemnly, "It really can be done. Just give me some more time and I can wear off the curse on the master. But the prerequisite is that the Lord's body cannot be too weak. If by the time I am strong enough, the Lord's body cannot bear it, wouldn't that be unfair? So, please take good care of yourself. Rest as much as possible." The other four were overjoyed when they heard there was hope. But Kaguya was both happy and embarrassed. He also wanted to take good care of himself and rest, but how much work was required to lead the Demon Slayer Corps? Half of his illness was a curse, and the other half was simply exhaustion. Horitake saw Kaguya's embarrassment. He looked at Yubayashiki Kirya with burning eyes and said in a serious tone, "Master Kirya." "Yes." Yubayashiki Kirya was startled and perked up. Horitake spoke in a serious tone, as if he was not facing a 6-year-old child, but a mature teenager. "Master Kirya, I know you are young now, but I also know that you have a maturity and wisdom that is not in line with your age. The master has only one son. I hope Master Kirya can take on the responsibility in advance and help the master share the work as much as possible in the future, so that the master can rest and recuperate." Kirya's expression was very firm. "Okay. I will work hard to help father share the work." Although the voice was childish, the tone was unquestionable. Kaguya was touched but complicated, and wanted to refuse. "Kirya." Horitake interrupted Kaguya's thought of rejection, "My lord, although Master Kirya is young, he is very capable and he can definitely help you. As a master, you should not let Master Kirya down and give your child a chance occasionally, right? I understand your determination to take on everything, but destroying Kibutsuji Muzan is not your job alone. I don't want Master Kirya to be the only commander in the final battle." This guy said he would not reveal the future, but without making a sound, he still revealed a lot of secrets. Xingming burst into tears again when he heard Horitake's last words. He respectfully asked Kaguya, "My lord, please take care of yourself." Mitsurai also became anxious. "Yes, my lord, you should rest more." Not only them, Yubayashiki Hina and Yubayashiki Kirya, the brother and sister, took one on each side of Kaguya's arm and begged with tears in their eyes. Wow, this is the first time Yubayashiki Kaguya has encountered this situation. Seeing his son and daughter like this, even the calmest father would not be able to harden his heart. When Kaguya was hesitating, Horitake said quietly, "How about asking Mrs. Amina to come and persuade the master?" The final blow. Yubayashiki Kaguya can't get back up. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so he relaxed and reluctantly agreed, "Okay, I agree. Take a good rest." Everyone was surprised, and the two children cheered a little. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.